came. There is no longer any meaning to this fight. And still your efforts to resist me do not cease. How long? For how long will you displease me?
Give Al back to us, Void. Now.
In mere moments.
Amazing voice acting.
I will win. There is a limit to the time you have left. You need not waste it on this meaningless struggle.
Look. The cores are charging up gradually. If they really are Void's power source, then as soon as they're done, he'll use them and try to make a break for it. We have to act now. We need Al. He's our only way out of this mess.
Mama, about those spears we activated? I'm detecting a lot of energy being stored within. And I mean a lot. I think if we gave them a good whack, all that energy would be released.
And Void would take the brunt?
Right. And even if he didn't, it should work to put the brakes on his power.
Got it. You hear that? Going for the spears will give us an edge in this fight. Keep that in mind. Go!
And why is Tatsu always along, even during these bits, huh? 6 shackles have sealed away most of Void's power. Okay. So can I target them like appendages? Spear of Samar. Okay, so there is attempting to activate the cores. So they're all just called Spear of Samar. What? Here we go. Bind. Sure. With my level 50 skill level... Oh! You have to get perfect or else you don't get it, I guess. Alright, I don't know if Concentrate Fire is going to get them to focus on a single target thing or appendages. But just in case it gets them to focus on appendages, I should have done this when I had the chance. This might get your attention. Dang it. Okay. Nice, getting that morale level up here. Because they told me to attack the spears. And the last cutscene. Attack the spears and then stuff will happen. Okay, do this. Missiles. He just slapped me. One of his tentacled things. Alright, let me go ahead and sword here. What? I didn't get that soul voice. I guess maybe I did it right before it activated there. Skulls are about to go down. So what's gonna happen here? It's gonna suck, but you know. I should have TP going into this, so like, whenever it comes down to it, I can always go on the ground and overdrive. But, be nice if you were targeting me so I could get the thing that leads into bind and stuff. Well, it leaves us on the ground. That's fine. That's fine. I could have built my other party members to also have, like, a dedicated set of arts. Like, I've done that for some of my party members. I haven't done it for any of the new ones here yet. But it doesn't matter for them that much. My character is the one that it really matters on. Presumably a decent bit. I think it's the yellow bar that I'm whittling down with appendages in this game. I don't know. They display it differently than in the original game. Like, the red is presumably like the health bar, like a small version of the total thing, and the yellow thing is the individual appendage health. Man, stop slapping me. Well, the Hresvelg, the fancy new skill, went down. I'm just now noticing, like, the color coding we have going on with these here. The blue, green, and red. That's really satisfying, actually. With the party lead here having the red. Whoa. What? Why did it, like, bind and then immediately didn't? Unhand me. I'm not even binding you. Maybe I bound on, like, the same frame that someone else tried to bind or something. It's maybe what happened. I don't know. But here, let's try this. Do that, and then... No, I can't quite bind. Can't do that. Wah! And then missiles. Actually, this. Oh, cool. Maybe someone else will bind, but like my allies suck at it. So, I mean... Oh, it looks like they are. I see some purpley out there. Maybe they failed. I don't know. Oh, well, you're immune to stagger, I guess. How are we binding before? Or maybe you're immune to blackout. You're immune to something. Something you are immune to, at least. Oh, nice. Whoops, I suck at video games. Yeah, the rust belt went down so fast, but like the other skulls are actually kind of lasting. It seems like. Is what's going on here? Targeted inflicts stagger. Yeah, no stagger or anything. Don't know whether you're immune to that or blackout, but there's been some binding before. Stop slapping me, please. Yeah, the color coding with like the 3 remaining skulls is super visually satisfying. Oh, hell yeah. There we go. Destroying the Samarian shackle casing has sealed Void's elemental shift gravity power. Okay. So that's what the 6-tier change is. It gives you opportunities and more stuff to break, and the more of these you break, the more things that just can't be done anymore. So now it's like a glowy spear. It looks almost like a weapon that Zanza would use or something. This is what it kind of looks like. Immune to blackout, I assume. Or it's immune to stagger and I inflicted blackout. Maybe what it is. Okay. Missiles. I am tempted to like come out and just immediately wreck them. So I guess like the general difficulty of the battle doesn't actually change with the amount of spears. It's just each spear presents a new opportunity to seal a different thing. Is what it is. Well, now I know. Yeah, very tempting to hop out and just like destroy him immediately, but that's what I did before. Like I said, I kind of want to get a sense of what the new bosses are like. Oh, he summons reinforcements. I was about to say, am I at about the point that, oh, do I have to hold it or something? Tempting to activate the cores. Because I was thinking, maybe I've seen all the main things that there are to see at this point, and maybe now it's fair game to hop out and, like, just wreck him with my overdrive setup. But he's clearly shown that there's more stuff going on because he calls reinforcements and stuff. My phone just vibrated. Hopefully it's not important. Oh, look, someone's recruiting for an online mission. Sphere speculation. Oh, I kind of want to join in to speculate some spheres. If there's one thing I love more than getting my right arm blown off, it's speculating some good spheres. My skull isn't gonna make it, is it? Yeah, the backup is gonna be the real killer here. I did say if my skull actually goes down that I might just start destroying things. And that might just have to be what I do. So, I mean, you asked for this. You destroyed my skull. Oh, I can't oh, wait, I'm targeting Void now? Wait, are there the other guys still? Oh, there isn't the other guys still. I kind of want to target the spears just to see what happens. Oh, God. I can't target the spears. Play it safe. Just kill Void. Just kill Void. Just kill Void. I'm pretty sure offensive stance is still going. Do this mostly for the TP at this point. I don't know if these are multi-hits. Do this just for safety's sake. Blossom Dance. Am I targeting one of the spears still? Oh, I totally am. Get another thing sealed, nerd. Okay. While I'm generally a lot stronger on the ground, my health is much lower. And if he gets some lucky hits, he just wins. So, never mind. I am just killing him. I can last of him in my skull, but if I'm not, then sorry, he's gotta die. This actually looks like the end of Xenoblade 3 Future Redeemed. When everyone, like, fused together into a super Ouroboros. That's what that gave me vibes of.
I do not comprehend it. If refusing to accept hinders me, then I will devour you time and again. Until you are as my roots.
You can try. But do you you think that something so hollow, as empty as you, can consume my lust for life?
It's the heart. The will to live on through it all. The urge. What it is love. Have you got it in you to love? And I'm not talking marriage vows here. To love all of creation. To embrace the world and all its parts fully. Until you're ready to do that, I can't hand Ares over to you.
This is categorically not understanding. Nor is it acceptance. It is erasure by assimilation, a culling of reason.
It's all right. I'm with you. You with me?
The Ares. It carries minds as well.
It's just like the Vita. Except, it was only for carrying void. But the Ares is a vessel for all sentient life.
Is this what's flowing from the abyss? They've watched over me on my journey. The people of my home.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Leon.
Yeah, don't you worry.
Lin. Thanks to you, my life had some worth after all. Thank you for that.
Lao, you...
I'll give you a hand. That okay? Hey, big shot. What's up? Last we met, you talked a big game.
People still need me. Humanity still needs me. I've got unfinished business, and until I finish it, I can't rest.
Shut up. If that's all you came to say, you can keep walking.
Ask how it's poppin'. Say the words.
Terrible. How about you?
Reply, then you're better than him at least. Meaning terrific.
Sweet. Hit it.
Not what I was expecting to see for the final scene.
I will devour you time and again. As many times as I must.
That is really cool that Lao is kind of brought in at the end. And we have kind of the parallel between Void and the Ares. And connections with all the party members and like the connections that we know that they have. Alright. Time to play with this. Oh, my other skills are restored. Hell yeah. And it sounds like we've got the key we've lost here. Maybe this is the remastered version. When I was listening to the one against Lao before, it sounded basically the same, but it's also hard to tell. You kind of have to pay close attention to the lyrics. Alright. Barrier. Because this skill is actually pretty darn cool, and so much cooler than a regular Ares. Melee attack up, range attack up. Oh, I should have led with that is what I should have done. Also, I think there's a lot of parallels between this Skell and Ouroboros. So if this is like the culmination of all consciousness, and dang it, that overrides the regular battle theme? This doesn't sound like the regular Overdrive battle theme either, though. What am I listening to right now? Anyway, like there's the whole pulling the sword out of the chest that comes with this Ares, as I found out before. When all 6 of the orbs, the cores there, came around and brought the Ares back here. Wow, you just super wreck it. It's like the final phase of Xenoblade 1 then after you unlock the true Monado, I guess, with this Skell. That was very much like the first true Ouroboros forming at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where all the orbs spin around and come together. Like, it was basically the exact same animation. And if Ouroboros is basically like the culmination of multiple consciousnesses in one being there, and the Ares is like that on like an ultimate scale, plus like the clear animation parallels. They are very clearly trying to draw some sort of parallels between Ouroboros from Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and the Ares Prime from this game. Okay, it's more fun to play it like this anyway than just getting out and using Blossom Dance before. Like, it was kind of satisfying, but this is more satisfying. But yeah, very much like the final phase of Xenoblade 1 where you've just got it. Yeah, this is definitely the remastered version of the key we've lost, and Overdrive does not override it. But it's hard to hear over the sound effects. Because yeah, I remember that I had found that there was a remastered version of the key we've lost when it came to the OST of this game, and I tried to let it play out when I was fighting against Lao, but I was like, is this the remastered one? I can't even tell. Like, maybe the lyrics sound slightly different, but I couldn't tell for the life of me. But I guess the key we've lost is still the final battle theme. It's just like the remaster here, and presumably the original for the Lao boss fight, which would make sense. Hey, I got a Moranium tick, hell yeah. Oh, the Skells are getting destroyed anyway, but like, that's fine. Don't worry about it. These animations are so cool. Oh, and of course, when it comes to the parallels to Ouroboros, can't forget the fact that the cores literally look like Ouroboros / Mobius cores. Can't forget that. So clearly they're trying to draw it in some way. That everything is connected. Maybe with the ending cutscenes we'll see them like go to the same universe and stuff. So I feel at this point like it's pretty obvious that Ares Prime is connected to Xenoblade 3 or Ouroboros in some way. But now the question is, how exactly? How exactly does that work? Oh yeah, you are just getting super wrecked here, aren't you? You are just getting super destroyed. Alright, well. Chaos Cannon. Pew! That'll take you out.
This is what it means. I fade. Me. I'm fading.
That's right. That's death. Well, how'd you like that first sip?
This is death. This pain, the haze. I sense myself concrete amidst the dim. So that's it. This is death then. Oh, I was a fool. I admit. Yes, I am not, but a fool. Such a wondrous thing, and so close at hand. Its taste. I must drink deeper.
I'm happy it's to your liking. I'd serve it to you as many times as you want, but you only die once.
Once.
Yeah. And after that, you're gone.
your existence stubbed out forever. And no one will remember. You reap what you sow, pal.
But, where will I go?
Beats me. You can ask your god. Well, that's assuming you even have one. Bye, bud. I was getting tired of babysitting you. Hey, how's it poppin'?
Absolutely terrible.
Too bad. 'Cause I'm on top of the world.
It's notifying me now that I have enough TP to start overdrive. With that sound effect.
What is it now?
The DMAT effect is spreading. The place is falling apart.
That's going to be problematic. Get us some more altitude. And be ready to move at a moment's notice. Sir!
In terms of DMAT damage, Volataris has been almost entirely consumed. Worse, as soon as we leave, we're getting swarmed by ghosts. Protect the Ares. Make sure it gets to the White Will 2 in one piece. Even if it costs us our lives.
Will do, Colonel.
Easy as pie.
Match. It'll be a stroll in the dark.
Yes, ma'am.
Tatsu will bring it!
Guys, I'm counting on you.
All units back to base! This is Elma. Got the cores. Returning with the Ares.
Got it. We'll prep for handover on our side. Everyone, you heard her. Warm up the jump drive. White Whale 2, dead slow ahead. Meet them part way. Roger.
Got it, yeah?
All units, provide fire support to the Ares. Sir!
Ghosts on the right flank!
All units, watch your 3. Maintain full throttle and cover the Ares with top priority.
Damn it.
Incoming 11 o'clock!
Crap. Can't shake them.
time.
Oh, phew!
Drive has been engaged.
Al,
Yeah, I saw it too.
We've got the Ares inbound for docking. And dock. Link up to jump drive complete.
All right, charge her up.
Roger, Wilco.
away team, join ranks with escort group. Keep that jump drive protected.
All systems A-OK, okay?
Great. In that case, all we gotta do is hold out until she's charged up, try not to blow up, and we can call it a day. There's too many of them!
Missed one.
Reading ghosts on the hull. Explosion severed part of the charge circuit.
Work on rigging an emergency bypass. Get in-ship engineering on it.
Ares output dropping.
We can't seem to get any charge!
Hey, buddy. You've done good till now. Wasn't sure we'd get this far together. You're a hell of an overachiever doing that with me aboard.
DMAT effect accelerating. Maneuverable space reduced by 30%.
Manpower status?
Casualty rate climbing 0.25% per tick.
That's not good.
Gah.
More ghost signatures detected. No. Hey, gotta be kidding.
What the?
It's looking rather sink or die.
If it was just me, I'd turn tail and run by now.
Oh no, the ship!
Drive compartment's been hit. Starboard escort units noting 18% losses.
That's right. I'm not alone. That's why I'm still hanging on. It's why I can hold my head up high. Ares, old pal, you like these guys? Do you love them?
Casualty rate now exceeds 25% and rising.
What are you doing? You need to hold position.
Thought so. I do as well. Come on.
Let's get her done!
We have it, don't we?
Estimated time until full charge has just dropped sharply.
We're almost done charging here. Hold on. Keep it together.
Damn. I don't remember ever teaching him to do that.
All right! Just a little more!
Tandem?
Yeah. We're moving the flagship. All hands, ready for jump. Call back all remaining troops.
Sir, attention. Flagship is moving into position for jump. All units return to base. I repeat, flagship is moving into position for jump. All units return to base.
While Void had me trapped, I got a glimpse of his past. Long ago, he was born as a citizen of Samar. He was a certified genius, obsessed with studying the ultimate matter, the conduit. Distilling its power into 6 cores, he crafted the Ares. But in doing so, he also stirred up the ghosts. The Samarians saw Void as the culprit, destroying the Ares and confining Void's mind in a prison in the rift between worlds. Forever. Mira's new continent, Volataris. That was Void's prison, spat out from the rift when he escaped. Locked up alone in that interminable limbo, he embraced solitude. What chafed at him more was the ignorance it forced upon him. Abiding in a world without end, Void wanted to know death. Not on account of any feeling. He simply, guilelessly, wanted to know. One day, a fissure appeared in the cage that held Void's consciousness in stasis. It wasn't clear why. Perhaps his prison deteriorated with time, or maybe it was a ripple from another world. Whatever the reason, Void's mind was sprung from its cell. And then, it manifested in the universe that held Elma's homeworld. His body was gone, but he had a vessel, built for him by the hands of those that worshipped him. The Vita became Void made flesh. He went on to produce the ganglion, and used them as a force to help him know death. First, he began by rallying his army to Elma's planet, hoping to reclaim the Ares for himself. But Void's movements and the restored Ares both contributed to the ghost's reappearance. The clash between Ganglion and ghosts led to the destruction of Elma's world, along with its universe. But even faced with that much death, he did nothing to try and comprehend it. He simply realized something, instinctively. He was afraid that he himself might disappear. And so, he ran away. From Samar's descendants, the ghosts. From all the forces that wanted to erase him, he ran and ran. And at the end of his long road, he knew death for the first time. As he died, I wonder what he was thinking.
But where will I go?
Hey, guys, you there? I kinda figured something out. That place wasn't a prison at all. I'm thinking it might have been a path straight to heaven. It exists. And boy, is it a wonderful place.
Thank goodness.
Holy smokes, you're alive! Good work out there.
We thought we lost you, asshole.
I knew it. I was sure you'd get back to us somehow.
Well, that one less worry on plate.
Welcome back.
Oh man, this is great. Really. I'd completely lost hope.
How could you? I can't believe you gave up.
No, it's not like that.
Oh yeah? Then what is it like?
I mean, what he's trying to say is that he's happy you didn't get hurt, right?
In other words, sticks and stones make you stronger.
No.
Okay. Here's our new world. Right on cue.
So, at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3's DLC, and at the end of Xenosaga 3, is the planet in those shots a planet that has a ring around it? I wonder. Because that one clearly had a ring around it. You defeated Void and the White Whale 2 engages jump drive. Now, a new world awaits, which will presumably be future game stuff. Obtain the Hollow Figures Void and Familiv. Post-game save data. By loading save data created upon completing the game, you can go back to exploring Mirror in the state it was in after completing the story mission Chapter 12. Okay, so like no orbs around the world or anything like that. Just, yeah, your characters grow at the state of your inventory survey rate and other elements will be carried over. You'll also be able to accept the story mission Chapter 13, Act 1 once more. Okay. G to the G. I appreciate the 100 bits there, Casala Katona. Interesting. Piloting the Ares unlocked. You can now register characters other than Al to be the Ares pilot. Do I still get, like, Al in this new file, I presume? Furthermore, Al can now be registered to pilot Skells other than the Ares. I would presume so, then. Oh, Skell quick cooldown unlocked. Yeah, they wait until you beat the game for that. You can now use quick cooldown while piloting a Skell. Skell arts use double the Ox energy compared to regular arts. Wait, so I have, like, 1 meter shared across ground in Skell, then, I take it? Yeah, go ahead and make a post-game save data. So... this one's 63 hours. Is this before I started the epilogue at all? And this is before I started, like, the final chapter of the thing. So it's probably a fair enough game to go onto this slot, because it's right before starting the epilogue. So just, like, do that. Sure. Just a little arrow on it. 73.5 hours. So, there's no credit sequence or anything. Does the title screen change at all? So, because some Xenoblade games have title screens that change after you beat them. Let me just see here really quickly. Yep. Alright, but continuing to be on Mira here. And we have, like, the main cast together. Huh. Oh, there's one of the new skills with Hresvelk. I was about to load game, but... yeah, it does have a plane mode. How do I activate the plane mode? Hold on. Xenoblade Chronicles X Hresvelk. I think it's spelled like that. Plane mode? I don't know. The Hresvelk has an exclusive jet flight mode and cockpit view that makes it the best skill for traversal. There's the Ares. I never figured out how to do that with the Hresvelk. Am I dumb? We got the flight module on the new Husfelg skill. Yeah, it's just a normal flight module. I want to give like my review of this game in a second, but like I want to know how the heck you do the jet flight mode, because I never figured that out. I don't know if I'm not pressing the right buttons. I've tried hitting like all the buttons with the darn thing, and I haven't figured it out. But that definitely confirms that there is a jet flight mode with the Husfelg. I've always enjoyed the Xenoblade Chronicles X title screen theme. I was going to like continue and then talk about it from there, but maybe I'll let things play out here a little bit. So that was Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I may as well talk about it as a remaster first, or maybe I talk about it as just as like a general game first. I don't know. As a general game, it's Xenoblade Chronicles X. You can't go wrong with it. Like, I have a great many hours in Xenoblade Chronicles X over the years. Like I mentioned before, never 100%ed it, but I feel like I wasn't super far off. I put a unhealthy amount of time into this game. I'm not usually the biggest fan of open world games, but this game I feel like is just a really good open world game. I feel like most open world games are just kind of content for the sake of content and are just kind of like, oh, let's fill up the map with question marks and go do them and gain EXP from doing that, and that's kind of what the gameplay loop is. Like Assassin's Creed Valhalla that I've been playing lately that I'm getting bored out of my mind on. But with this game, it's so easy to go down a slippery slope of, ooh, if I do this, then I can do this, which allows me to do this, which allows me to do this. Ooh, if I do this thing, then it'll unlock this thing, and like so on and so forth, and just keep on wanting to do more and more stuff, and sometimes it can be so easy to go around hamming stuff out. And a lot of quests actually do make a difference in like the world that you're in, as opposed to a lot of games quests where it's just like, oh, go get me 5 butterflies. Oh great, you got me 5 butterflies, here's your reward money. Like there's all sorts of quest lines where you see like a sub-story progressing. There's ones that lead to you recruiting new alien races and adding them to NLA, and then you get access to their quest lines, and you're doing all sorts of stuff with this other race, and you've gotten like a new arms manufacturer unlocked. There's affinity quests for the different characters that can lead to unlocking their unique skills. You get to see like their own little sub-stories that are going on. Some of them even unlocks like unique skull frames, interestingly enough. That's a really cool shot there. I quite like that. If the white whale didn't come crashing down violently, I guess. Like, I feel like it is just generally a really good example of how to handle open world. And it's one of those games that has, like, a lot of depth to it for those that want to take time to understand it, like with Overdrive, or with Scale Overdrive, that I still don't really know the first thing about, because I always just kind of resorted to Ground Overdrive, and that was a little bit of my undoing during some parts earlier this stream, as it seemed to be. But, like, there's so much that you can learn if you want to take the time to learn. Like, it's pretty easy to just go in and play pretty casually. But it's one of those things that has, like, a high skill ceiling. You can learn a lot about it, and some of the most in-depth stuff in the Xenoblade series in general. What with things like overdrive mechanics, soul voices, the 2 different weapon types, and you being able to mix and match, and that adjusts what arts you have access to, stuff like that. The different class systems, the different skills that you're equipping. Like, it very much is, like I've described it as before, kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 in the general idea of you have 8 arts on a palette at the bottom that you're going across, but like on steroids. Like, let's take that basic idea and let's just go crazy with it. Like, the gameplay of this game, I would absolutely say so much better than Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and I honestly think this is probably my favorite gameplay in the whole Xenoblade Chronicles series. Definitely not my favorite story in the series, since its story isn't really a huge focus in this game compared to the others, but it is definitely by far my favorite gameplay. And I think I would argue that Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 are semi-open world games, and that as you progress linearly forward, you unlock new areas to explore, and they're like vast areas that you can explore and do all sorts of stuff in. But, like, there's still sub-areas that you unlock in a linear order as you progress a story. Whereas this is just, like, the moment that you can run out and about, yeah, you can go anywhere you want, pretty much. Like, run right to Caldros if you want, explore the Ganglion base, like, have fun. You're probably gonna get wrecked at that point, but nothing's stopping you apart from, like, the Ganglion that are there to kill you, but figure out some way around them and harvest a whole bunch of stuff early, and it's really just fun to be able to like explore into things early and like plant data probes that are gonna like benefit me long term. It very much embraces Masahiro Sakurai's definition of game essence, where game essence he describes as the fun that comes of weighing risk and reward, or it's not those exact words, but something like that, where it's like, you want to have an engaging game, you should be taking risks, and you accomplish these risks, you get rewards. Like, a game wouldn't exactly be fun if you're just like going along and everything is super easy peasy. I mean, kind of like I made it be with with the overdrive stuff, but that's neither here nor there. If you want like a challenge game, it's like, ooh, I don't know if I can see it through here. Maybe if I try this thing, that'll help me get through. Like that kind of riskiness. A really good example of that would be something like Mario Kart, where it's like, it'll take a little bit more skill to drift, and if I don't control it right, then maybe I'll go off the course, but I get the reward by taking this risk of getting a speed boost, stuff like that. That's kind of like the FN sites in this game, where it's like the earlier you get them, the earlier you get like these probes online, expand your network, and get to enjoy more revenue over time. But it's gonna be hard as hell to do initially, because everything wants to kill you, like, surrounding you, and you kind of have to sneak past them and get those FN sites. And I would find ways to continue to cheese them out and, you know, get close to somebody while they're not seeing me and plant that probe. That is very much risk and reward. So how this very much weighs risk and reward with like the open world exploration that you feel compelled to do with like the FN sites and the data probes and looting chests and things like that. It's just really good, and I feel like that's something that Definitive Edition also improves by taking away blade levels and lean specific levels to open up like certain thingamabobs, but I'll talk about that when I talk about like the remaster version. Good open world game always makes a player want to survive out of spite. Yeah, like I've tried so many times. I'm gonna get this thing. Just you wait, I'm gonna get it. And there have definitely been my fair share of moments like that in this game. And in terms of like customization, being able to like take on foes that are incredibly strong, this game is kind of like Elden Ring in that sense, and that like, sure, you can play casually and get through like most of this stuff, but if you want to take the time to like get some really strong stuff and make some crazy setups, you absolutely can. In the original game, the level cap was level 60, so I would classify anything as over level 60 as a super boss, because the other Xenoblade Chronicles games had level 99 as the level cap, and then you would argue that things that are level 100 or more are super bosses. I would argue that things that are over level 60 in this game are super bosses. This game raised the level cap, so I guess you can be the same level as the Telethia now. I don't actually know what things level affects all that much, and when you start doing more broken stuff with like overdrive and all that, the level only really matters so far anyway, but hey, I can keep on leveling. I really quite like the open world. The music of the game is fantastic. It's a very, very different style compared to Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3, but it is still a very fantastic soundtrack. Very much Attack on Titan vibes, which comes with the territory when you share the same composer, and I definitely don't mind that by any means. I think that that is actually really awesome, because I really like that style, quite frankly. The story with the original game, it did some interesting things, like talking about like the ethics of taking just those that are useful and those that are rich enough to support the project, and all that presumably is why the rich ones were allowed on, I would presume, is probably they donated a whole bunch to make the project happen in the first place for their own survival. And it's like, yeah, that's not really right, where it's like people are given an unfair advantage to get on these ships and get off the planet and all that. So delving into that a little bit and Lau's desperation, it's like, okay, there's some interesting stuff here. Nothing quite as in-depth as like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, or 3, but it has my attention. And then it ends on like the cliffhanger that it's had for the past 10 years here, that is just like, hey, we secured the lifehold, things are good, but you know, the place that's supposed to store consciousness it is completely destroyed. How the hell are we alive if it's not being transmitted by the lifehold? It's this planet. It's something about this planet. And I mean, some of the stuff about the planet still isn't really answered, unless it's answered in like other Affinity missions with the new content, which it could well be. Still a decent few unanswered questions, but a lot of the key ones were definitely answered here. But original game ending on that cliffhanger, it felt very much like it was teasing at a sequel. And with the lackluster sales of a Xenoblade Chronicles game on the Wii U, the console that barely anybody owned but me, of course, it seemed very unlikely that the game would ever be getting a sequel. And if it got a sequel, they would probably have to, like, bring it over first so that other people actually get the chance to play it instead of it being stuck on the console that nobody bought. And then they end up bringing Definitive Edition here, which, you know, brought a lot more to the table than the original game. Is there anything else to mention about the original game? I just really love it. One of my favorite open world games of all time. I typically honestly hate open world games because I feel like, again, they're just content for the sake of content, and it's just so much fluff and crap that I don't care about. This game, I care about it. I very much like this open world game here. Something not said about many open world games. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say about, like, the original game. I really like the skills, customization, and all that. It's really interesting how the game is 12 chapters, you only get skills after chapter 6, and you only get skill flight after chapter 9. Like, it's such a pivotal game mechanic. It's literally on the cover of the game, and in, like, all the trailers and everything. And yet you only really get the full functionality of it so late on. And, you know, at face value, that sounds like an awful decision, but I mean, ground movement is really not at all bad in this game. It's not at all like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3, where you're just kind of jogging along. You can do a jump like a hop, like that barely brings you anywhere as you slowly jog around. Like, no, you frickin' book it in this game. You jump, you're jumping so high up. You can, like was mentioned during an earlier stream, embrace the spirit of the mountain goat, and you get a tiny little foothold. You can just keep on going up and find creative ways to get places early. And again, with the risk and reward and the rewards of getting to places early, it is just satisfying to do. And then you get a skill and you start jumping higher, and it's like, oh my god, this changed my life so much. And then you get skill flight, and then once again, it's another, oh my god, this changed my life so much moment. So it makes you truly experience what life is like before that point in depth, which is not at all bad. It is not at all lackluster. But then you realize how much better life is after you get them, and it really hits you with the holy shit moment that I feel like you wouldn't really have if you unlocked skills from the get-go. The game teases you of skill gameplay from an early chapter. I mean, it showed with the opening cutscene and stuff. You see all these skells flying around and engaging in combat. And shortly after you're brought to NLA, you see skells walking around, and Lin is like, oh yeah, look at that skell. Aren't they so cool? Aren't skells just the coolest thing? Maybe you can get one day if you're cool enough. So it does very much show them to you, and you see them walking around NLA all the time, and it leaves you wanting one of these skells and wondering, when the hell do I get this thing? And then you finally get it, and it's just, it really changes your life. But again, like, the ground movement is not at all bad in this. Like, the ground movement is very much supports, like, big open world exploration, unlike Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3, where that's not really the point of the ground movement. And just having, like, the skells to fly around and stuff like that is really fun. Making cool networks with the Frontier Nav to, like, maximize your Moranium, your ores, and your revenue and stuff like that, that's kind of fun. And trying to design, like, optimal networks and stuff there. It's really cool how your playable character can go into different classes, and you can, I guess I was mentioning this earlier, do, like, the different weapon types to unlock, like, change what arts you have access to, since the arts are directly tied to the weapons. Doing affinity quests for different people that not only sheds light on their story while also, like, completing side quests here, but also grants you their unique arts, where it's like each character has 2 arts that are unique to them that nobody else can have except your playable character, that can be customized any way that you want. The character creator of the original game is like, it's nothing super crazy, but it's like, it's fine, I guess. It did its job. I had a long hair option down to, like, here-ish, which is nowhere near the length of my actual hair. Man, it's gotten really frizzy since it was just wet earlier. Gotten really wavy here. But the character creator could be a lot better. I would prefer, like, better long hair options in the original. I really liked the use of the Wii U gamepad in the original, where it's like you have, like, the little mini-map on the actual game screen that you're going to be looking at most of the time. But sometimes you can look down at the gamepad and see, like, the full world map there. I really disliked when games put, like, really essential stuff on the gamepad that you need to be looking at constantly. Like, Assassin's Creed 4, I could be misremembering here. But Assassin's Creed 4, which was initially made for other consoles, but they were like, hey, let's bring it to the Wii U as well, and, you know, release it on the Wii U at the same time as the other consoles. I played it on the Wii U. I never even realized I had a health bar in that game. I just assumed that it was like the Last of Us grounded mode where I just didn't have UI on that front and I just had to kind of reason out what my health generally was like. It was on the gamepad screen. That's not a place where a health bar should be. You should just be able to look at the same screen and tell what your health is, rather than like a bunch of guys are surrounding you and fighting you and you go, what is my health looking like? You know, and that was where the whole map screen was. I don't believe that there was a map screen on screen. Of course, that was changed for the Switch version, luckily, because I mean, they had to for the Switch version. But I'm pretty sure I remember when I played the Wii U version, that's what I had to do. But the Xenoblade Chronicles X approach of like, you have the mini map on the screen that you can easily glance at as you're playing, but also like the big screen down below where it's like, if you want to get an idea of the bigger picture of where you're running around to, you can do that. And that's where you have like the whole Frontier Nav network and you have like all the hexagons and stuff like that is on the gamepad screen. And let's say as you're exploring around, you want to tell like, are you on course? You can just keep running and kind of look, am I going to the right destination? Okay, let's adjust my course like a little bit to the right. Now it looks like I'm going there. And you can just keep on running while you do that. That's something that you can't do in Definitive Edition because you have to pause the game to pull up the map. So that is definitely a quality of life thing that was with the Wii U version that I did definitely prefer over this game. There are some ways that I preferred the original Wii U version, like that, the long hair options, less lag, if memory serves here. They tried to do that with Breath of the Wild, but axed it having a map on the gamepad screen. Huh. I don't even know what the gamepad screen looks like for Breath of the Wild, because I only ever played the Switch version. But I know it was originally designed to be a Wii U game and all that. So I really like the convenience with that. Or as you're just like mindlessly holding forward on the left stick, you can just like be changing your network a little bit and you're changing the probes like immediately. You don't have to sit through anything. Just go ahead and change that probe, scroll over here, and then you change that probe over there. And it's just kind of convenient and nice and stuff, you know, basically always on the Sheikah Slate. Okay, interesting. But yeah, so I very much like the convenience of that. It's cool how many different party members are in the original game, but it's a pain in the ass to like swap around your party members because you have to always go and like chat with them where they are in NLA to get them added to your party. And then anytime you take them out, if you want them back in, you gotta go find them in NLA again, like a bit of a pain in the ass. The grind is way too long in the original game if you want like strong augments and stuff. Like you have to be going for so many hours and hours and hours to get like a handful of good augments because it just costs so many materials in the original game. It seems like they cut it by 3 in this one. It seems like they divide by 3 the amount of materials you need for augments, which is fantastic change because it literally felt like a friggin' MMO grind or something with the original game. It was ridiculous. So yeah, the grind was definitely too much in the original game. I don't know what else there is to mention about the original game. Just what the hell is going on? Like, who are the ghosts? What happened to Lao? Who is the Black Knight? What are J-bodies is something that wasn't really answered in this, but J-bodies are something that I don't think would have ever come up in one of my previous playthroughs. They're just something that I remember from having played the game previously. I think they come up in Yelv's Affinity quest line, where it's like, in addition to Mimiosomes, there's also J-bodies, which are inherently different in some way, and I think Yelv is a J-body, if I recall, and you never really find out what that means. What the hell Levita is? Who is the Great One? Who was Elma's partner back when, and piloting the Ares, which I thought was like a Tandem Skell thing. I don't know if maybe they retconned that in this, or if I'm just getting false memories of Elma's Affinity quests. I'll have to do those sometime later. It just left like so many unanswered questions. And again, very much felt like it was teasing towards a sequel because it left things very untouched here. And like all these post-credits teasers about like, we have no idea what the hell is going on here, but there's this stuff. And also you can keep on exploring around Mira and like doing side quests and stuff like that. But that's the main stuff of the game done. And it was just like big kick in the nuts kind of ending and stuff like that. Back when Breath of the Wild early build still have magic bar instead of weapon hoarding. Oh, interesting. I didn't even know that there was plans for a magic bar in that game. The DLC, I mean like the epilogue with Definitive Edition here, because it didn't get a DLC. This released on the Wii U in 2015, whereas this released like less than 2 weeks ago. So they kind of handle it like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition, where it's like, hey, enhanced graphics, quality of life changes, and like a new epilogue story. There's new content. There's more story stuff. Wow, the back of these actually look very much the same. The Earth is gone, your new home awaits. The Earth is gone, your new home awaits. Discover, survey the vast uncharted reaches of planet Mira. Discover, explore the vast uncharted reaches of planet Mira. The back of these is the same. Like, it's not using the same images and stuff, but like all the text and stuff is the same. That's kind of cool. The epilogue did wrap things up better here. It does have like its own set of unanswered questions. So, I mean, that's generally how I feel about Xenoblade Chronicles X as a game. Fantastic game. Cliffhanger, what the hell. But now Definitive Edition released so much later. It added in a lot of the stuff that was planned for the original game but didn't quite make it in. Like the Black Knight that was approaching Lao, we finally know who that is. Though, like I was mentioning earlier this stream, I don't think Al was going to be who it originally was. I think the Black Knight was going to be someone else, because like the Black Knight in concept art of the original game was supposed to be clad in armor, have a big sword, and like the Hresvelg was going to be his skull, not the Ares. So like the pilot of the Ares would have presumably been someone else, like Al, and then the Black Knight is someone else. So I am still curious what like the original plans of the Black Knight would have been with the original game in the version that never came out, but I guess we'll never know. And it's not canon now anyway, whatever their original plan is, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. In general, from like gameplay-wise, playing through like the original game content, there is a lot of quality of life changes. I do like the new art style with this. I do think that it pops a lot more. I feel like things are a little bit brighter. Like I mentioned earlier this stream, or some other streams, or whenever. If I was getting like a screenshot of the game at nighttime, during a lot of shots and using it for a thumbnail, you look at that thumbnail, well, it's like a tiny little thing on YouTube, you can't tell what the hell is going on there. It's so dark. It looks like you're playing Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Like, you just can't see shit. It feels like things are definitely brightened up a bit and things pop a little bit more. Like, they redid the models and it seemed like they might have redone the lighting a little bit. Things feel a little bit brighter at night, or maybe I'm just like losing my mind, which is possible here. So I like that. There are so many quality of life changes in the game. What with the little exclamation points that show when you're in position, or you're gonna get like the bonus effect of a certain art. That might have been the case in the original game, but it might have been like a little bit off to the side. Like the original game had the part that said like front, side, back and stuff. I don't remember if there was any exclamation point anywhere, but they clearly adopted what they did with Xenoblade 1 Definitive Edition, which is really, really nice there, knowing when the bonus effects are going to come in. One of the big difference makers in terms of motivation for like going around and exploring Mira is the survey percentage rewards that this game added. So in the original game, as you went around like completing objectives on the map and getting up your survey rate, that didn't really do anything for you apart from the rewards that just come with that, having done like the specific segment that you did, like whether it's finishing a quest or killing a tyrant, just the rewards that come with that. And sometimes you needed to get up to like a certain amount of map completion to do story quests, where it's like before one of the final quests you need to survey 20% of Mira all in all. Or before you trek to Noxilum with Lamau, you have to have surveyed 20% of Noxilum before doing the story quest there, the Ganglion Menace or whatever the story quest was. I'm pretty sure it was chapter 4. And it just kind of felt like a prerequisite towards story quests from time to time. But for the most part, it was just like, you know, a satisfying way to keep track of your map completion, but it didn't really give you anything along the way. It's just like, hey, here's your completion percentage number, and that was it. And I mean, it's fine like that, but by adding rewards associated with the map completion, where it's like, you can see the list of rewards associated with each region, and every 5% you get like an actually pretty good reward. You get all sorts of mining probes. It also feels like there's more probes in this game than the original, since, like, there has to be, since, like, the map completion rewards and stuff like that, which makes it easier to make more efficient networks. You don't feel like your resources are as limited when it comes to Frontier Nav, which is really nice. And things like the energy clips. You have just genuinely really good rewards. Things like duplicator probes and booster probes for map completion percentage. It's 4:30 in the morning right now. Things that make you go, ooh, that would make a big difference. I really want that. As opposed to, ooh, I made the number go up. Like, so by having that extra motivation of stuff that's actually really good is just really nice. And by having so much funds, like with the map completion rewards as well, I found myself racking up funds so much faster than in the original game. Like I had mentioned, the first time I ever played Xenoblade Chronicles X and I got to the final boss, I could not beat it for the life of me. My skulls were getting wrecked, I was getting wrecked on the ground. I could not beat Gunban no matter what I tried. So I eventually just like backed out. I went to that big cave in Noctilum with all the collectibles everywhere and like the level 80 something tyrant in the middle. And I just drove around there picking up collectibles, because once you reach 99 of a collectible, it'll just automatically sell it the next one that you pick up. And I just drove around until I had the funds to afford a level 50 skill, and I used that level 50 skill as a crutch to carry me through to finish the game off, is what I had to do. But I had to sit there like grinding for a while, picking up these collectibles to be able to afford the darn thing, because the level 50 skills were so expensive. But now, as long as you're going around and like doing a decent bit of map completion percentage, which you're gonna want to do anyway because it's just fun and satisfying to do in this game, you're getting these map completion percentage rewards, which a lot of the time give you a shit ton of money. So while at the end of a casual playthrough under normal circumstances, I feel like I would be like, can I even afford a level 50 skill? I'd probably have to grind some funds or go do questing for a while to even get one level 50 skill. By the time I reached chapter 12 in this game, it was like, oh yeah, I can just buy like several level 50 skills at this point if I want. Like maybe multiple party members want a level 50 skill, I can get that. Like, I mean, I can probably only get like one Amdusius and then like one other skill if I wanted to go with that approach, or I get like a whole bunch of light skills or something like that, or whatever the heck. Like, there was definitely a lot more options on the table if you're struggling with the story to be able to get a level 50 skill and have that carry you through if that's something that you need. And that's something that I would have appreciated in the original game when I didn't know how to abuse mechanics like overdrive yet, and I just needed to sit around grinding to get that darn thing. Wouldn't have to do that in this game. The energy system and art's quick cooldown, that is a very, very massive game changer. With all the Xenoblade Chronicles games in general, because they use like a real-time combat system where you have to wait for your arts to recharge and then you can pop that art again, there's a decent bit of the game that's just spent like sitting around, like twiddling your thumbs, like hovering over the thing that you know is going to be charged up next and just like waiting to pop it. Or if somebody activates a soul voice, since that's a mechanic of this game, and they want you to use, say, a ranged dart, but your ranged dart isn't charged up in time, and you're kind of mashing that A button being like, please pop, please pop, please pop, like, please finish charging, and then the soul voice runs out of time, and then you pop, like, the ranged dart when, like, you ran out of time. It's like, man, what the heck? I couldn't get that soul voice in time. It sucks. My art wasn't charged up enough yet. But now with the quick cooldown, with the whole energy system, you now have a new resource to keep track of in battle, which adds a new element of strategy where it's like each battle you go into, you only have so much of this energy, and you can use it by hovering over an art, selecting Y, and then that cooldown that it was doing, whether it's uncharged and you want to set it to charge, or whether it's charging the secondary cooldown and you want to like immediately get the secondary effect without waiting for it, or the tertiary effect if you're in overdrive, you can just do that, and it'll consume energy proportional to like how much of the circle of the art is missing. So if an art is almost charged up, it'll just use a little bit of energy. If you just popped the thing a second ago, like with me spamming Sliding Slinger, it's gonna be taking like a whole chunk of that energy. And that is another aspect of Sakurai's game essence, the fun of balancing risk and reward. Like, do I want to build up a whole bunch of TP now by spamming Primer? Or am I going to need that energy later because, like, I need to, there's going to be an instance where I need to use, like, a support art, or I need to, like, proc some sort of soul voice, because if I keep on using this now, I might run out of energy, I might not have enough for later. So maybe I should be using it when it's, like, more of a need. Are they gonna, is the enemy doing a rapid fire attack here soon? Should I just pop my Ghostwalker early because I'm concerned about, like, the rapid fire attack killing me and I want the invincibility that comes with, like, the animation of that? There's an element of risk and reward. It increases the strategy and decreases the time that you're twiddling your thumbs wondering what you should do, because while you're waiting for your arts to charge up, you can consider, is there something that's worth popping with energy? And by having the energy completion bonuses, it is a lot more motivation to go and like complete more of the map, which I think is really friggin' awesome how these things tie together. I do think that locking the Skell quick cooldown behind beating the game, I don't think I like that. I think it would have been more fun to be able to play through this game all in all with the Skell quick cooldown available as well, especially considering that text seemed to imply that it would be an energy meter that's shared across ground and the Skell. So like you could hop out of the Skell, pop some arts early, hop in the Skell, and like you have your energy at the same amount, is what the description seemed to imply. So why not just have Skell quick cooldown available from the get-go? Like, is it because I think that Skells are too strong from like a casual perspective, like already anyway, so I didn't want to give that buff until later? Like, maybe? Because I know the first time I played this game, I was definitely relying on Skells way too much. So maybe they didn't want to make Skells even stronger. I mean, I still think that ground builds are stronger in the hands of a pro player. Or even just an intermediate player. I'm not a pro player. Even just an intermediate player, ground builds are definitely stronger than Skells. Until you take the time to like grind out a really friggin' good Skell. So it's not like Skells really needed that nerf for intermediate players anyway, and I feel like by having quick cooldown available for Skells, it would give more motivation for intermediate players that have a strong ground build to actually be engaging with Skells more sometimes. Because the way that I was playing, it was like, if I don't have to fight with my Skell, I just won't. Unless there's like a nest of a whole bunch of baddies, I just want to AoE with Phoenix for like the sin of convenience, you know? So for intermediate players, Skells absolutely didn't need to have that tool not available until beating the game. But I guess it makes sense from a casual perspective where new players are probably going to be relying on Skells a shit ton anyway. Because I certainly know that I was. But honestly, like, fantastic new mechanic there. It really also helps maintain infinite overdrive. Like, with the original game, when you first unlock overdrive, you save up 3,000 TP, which is a lot of TP before you start getting better methods for building up TP. You pop it, you get 15 seconds of building up count, and your art's charging up a little bit faster, and then it goes away, and it's like, well, that was a waste of 3,000 TP. Like, what? Why the heck would I want to do that? Why don't I just use, like, my TP arts? Like, that wasn't all that worth it. Until you start delving into, like, infinite overdrive shenanigans and how to actually maintain it and extend the overdrive, which takes a little bit, and it can take a little bit of setup as well, because 15 seconds is not a long time, and there are many of those instances of just sitting around twiddling your thumbs waiting for the right arts to charge up so that you can actually build up your count enough and start getting overdrive into higher counts and start getting it infinitely going. But this game extended the overdrive by 10 seconds, bringing it to 25 seconds by default, so you actually get a little bit more substance out of it, and it's easier to maintain infinite overdrive. And with Art's quick cooldown, like, basically the moment I unlocked overdrive in this game, I was able to start getting infinite overdrive, like, very quickly off the ground just by utilizing that extra time that it was giving me, and the Art's quick cooldown. I don't think in previous playthroughs after unlocking overdrive, I'd be able to start doing infinite overdrive, like, immediately. I would need to start doing a little bit of a setup. I mean, maybe some better players than me can start doing infinite overdrive immediately, but I don't think that I can. So with the extra 10 seconds, you get a lot more out of it. It gives you more time to actually be able to read, like, the combos that are kind of where my camera is here. Kind of like the combos for getting orbs on an enemy in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Like, one of those kinds of charts that it shows here. It gives you more time to read those and be like, is there something that I actually want to do? And just play around with it more instead of feeling like it's going to end in no time unless you actually look up guides on how to do it on like YouTube or something like that, and then maybe you can start doing something out of it. Otherwise, it's just 15 seconds of meh for from a casual perspective. And another quality of life thing, I really like how it actually says the number of how many seconds you have left, as opposed to the original game, where it was basically just like a bar, essentially, with so many ticks that ticks down. So, and I didn't even notice that for a long time when I first played through the game. I was just paying attention to the music, because once your overdrive starts getting low, the music starts fading out, so I would try to refresh my overdrive whenever the music started fading out. And only later did I even notice the ticks that are on, like, the right side that are ticking down that I'd never friggin' noticed before. And with that, you don't exactly know how much time you have left. You just have to roughly eyeball it, for the most part. And I don't remember how it worked in the original game in terms of, like, extending past the 15 seconds, like, if you could make the count higher than that. I know that you could get the bar to the top, but could it fill, like, past that? Or do you cap out at 15 seconds? I don't know. I just maintained overdrive in such a way that I never really paid all that much attention to that. I'd have to look it up at some point. But in this game, being able to bring it up to 99 seconds, and clearly higher, considering when I was using my current setup and spamming the activate overdrive button, it was going to 99 and staying at 99, which means presumably the real cap is higher, but it just shows 99 at the most, which is really nice. And I don't recall if you could do that in the original game, but it is nice to, if you have the method to build up count, not to build up count, to build up the time in overdrive, to just like build up a shit ton of that and then just not worry about like reactivating it for a while. Though I mean, if you're at max, then you can just kind of do like blue arts and green arts and not really worry about it anymore anyway. So those changes, and like especially having the combos and stuff like that, is really helpful in actually being able to get more out of overdrive and being able to understand it better. I do think that, like the original, this game could still make more of an effort to explain what the fuck overdrive is and how you actually use it, because I still feel like, as a casual player going into this, overdrive might still be kind of underwhelming, but now as like more time to play with it, you can see there's combos and it's like, okay, maybe I can do something here. So it's better than the original game, but it's probably still a bit overwhelming, and there isn't really a tutorial for overdrive per se. I'm sure you can go into info and like read up on all the specific mechanics, but who would do that? So casual players are probably mostly still going to be sticking around with Skells. So I do think that overdrive could be better explained in this game, rather than, like, the best option is probably still resorting to the internet to better understand how it works. So it's definitely a lot better. It could be a smidge better, like, better explain some things, but I really, really like the overdrive changes, and the quick cooldown, like, really changes things as well. Especially once I realized that I could pop it to get, like, secondary cooldowns and tertiary cooldowns early. So I could do things like the Hercules blow or the Blossom Dance a little bit early while getting, like, the maximum damage that I can get out of it without having to, like, sit around waiting for the whole darn thing to charge up. Quests are a whole lot easier to do in this game. In the original game, if you have, like, a fetch quest of go get this area in, say, I don't know, Noxalum here, have fun running around or driving around just hoping you pick up the right item. Who knows where it spawns unless you take the time to Google it. And I did a lot of Googling it back when. And, like, I would usually search around, like, just picking up items randomly, seeing if I get it. And if I don't get it after a little bit, I would Google it to see where, like, the better spawn rates is. And it was just kind of annoying to an extent, where it's like you just have to cross your fingers you're finding the right thing. But in this, it just clearly marks them on the map. Oh yeah, there's items over here that are the things that you're looking for. And then you can just like fast travel over, snag them, and go back. It made the quests feel like they would progress a whole lot faster than in the original game. And I really quite like that. The fact that you could just get on with it instead of having to pray to RNGesus that you're in the right area and gonna get drops of the thing you need. Like, you can just tell that's the thing you need, or that's not the thing you need. What the heck is up there? Oh, that's part of a branch. So, that is such an amazing quality of life change. I think the biggest quality of life change in this game is how they handled the party. So, in the original game, if you want to swap, like I was mentioning earlier, if you want to get other party members in your party, you would need to go seek them out in NLA, chat with them, and then it opens like the party member screen where it's like you can remove somebody and you can put in this character that you just chatted to. Like, let's say I want to go get Doug. I gotta go like chat with Doug, put him into a slot, then I want to go get Irina. Then I gotta go up a level, like fast travel up or something, and then go chat with Irina, and then I can put her into a slot from like the menu. The fact that it's all just a menu where you can do it anytime you want is so nice. Because in the original game, I would just be like, yeah, these are just the guys I'm sticking with. I'm not really going to experiment with other people. I'm only putting them in my party when I have to of necessity for their affinity missions. Just because it's a little bit of a pain in the ass going around and talking with them to get that member in your party instead of just having a menu for it that you can access at any time. So I feel like that's probably the biggest quality of life change in this game. The fact that you have a menu that you can open at any time and swap other party members in. Just generally how they handle the party in this game is so much better than the original. In the original, if you weren't using party members, they're not leveling up. So not only is it a pain in the ass to go get other people, but even if you do go get other people, their level is going to be crap because you haven't been using them, and they're just going to go around like dying all the time to the enemies that are your level that you've been fighting for however long. So they're just not even useful, and you have to friggin' train them up like Fire Emblem trainee units that start at such a low level, and you have to put effort into actually be able to use them. only for them to be like another pain in the ass to go get later, and you having to constantly remove them from your party because the story missions are restricted who you can bring anyway, and it's just so restrictive, pain in the ass. The other characters weren't really worth using because they'd never really be strong enough. So it honestly felt like you go yourself, Elma, Lin, because that's what the story is going to require you to do, and then choose one character that you want to be getting like more levels along the way than the other characters. So despite the fact that there was such a vast cast, it never really felt worth using them in the original game. It just felt like, yeah, they exist, I guess. And I can choose someone to be like an extra support in there, but meh. But in this game, swapping them in at any time, and the fact that they gain levels, like when I was going up against what's-her-face, the blue bitch in the Ganglion Menace in Chapter 4 in Noxilum, that, I forget what the hell her name is. The one that looks like she's wearing something hella uncomfortable for the rear end. Goetia? I don't know. What the heck. Something like that. I remember facing her, and, you know, I was getting pretty confident in this playthrough. Like, I've played a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'll get through it, no problem. And with my setup of just like, yeah, Elma's gonna take on things as I'm playing as her, and all my other characters can just be whoever I'm grinding affinity with. It's fine. It wasn't fine. I actually did need a tank at that point to be taking aggro, or else everyone would be dying way too soon because they couldn't really be taking damage. And then I was like, is it really worth putting someone like Lin in? Her level's gonna kind of suck now. And then I looked in the menu, and her level was the exact same as my other party members. I was like, holy shit. And I can just swap her in the middle of the mission and then go try the battle again. I don't have to travel to NLA. I don't have any party member restrictions. I can just put in whoever the hell I feel like putting in, and they're at the same level as me. They don't level up their class level, so you do still have to like take them with you to like level up their class level and get new arts and skills and stuff like that and let you build them. But their level is still fine. And so it didn't feel like I was shooting myself in the foot as much as I thought I would feel like shooting myself in the foot for putting other party members in there. This game actually supports experimentation with you trying out different party members, seeing like maybe this one will work better in this battle, maybe this one will work better in this battle, maybe I'll take this one out. Because you can just do it anytime rather than it being like the biggest pain in the ass ever like the original game. What else was I going to say about this? There was something else that I was going to say about it, and now I kind of forget what it is. Oh yeah, in the original game, I'm pretty sure all the story missions required you to bring your character, Elma, Lin. Some story missions would allow you to bring a fourth party member, as we saw in many cutscenes. Whoever was in my second party member slot was just taking the place that a fourth party member would in the original game, where it's like, yeah, they're kind of hanging out and tagging along. Because that would be your party in the original game, is yourself, Elma, Lin, one last person. So, party member slot 2 got defaulted to that. Presumably it would be slot 3 if you had like Elma or Lin in slot 2, but, you know, that's not important here. There was a few missions in this game that required you to use Elma and Lin. Just a few. The rest of them gave you free reign to use whatever characters you wanted to use. And the story still needed Elma and Lin around, like they were important story characters. But they would just appear in cutscenes like they're part of your party, and then like the characters that are actually in your party aren't there. Save for like the one in the highest slot up that isn't Elma or Lin, and for the sake of fourth party member like the original game would have been programmed for. So the fact that there's this bit of ludonarrative dissonance, which for those that aren't aware, ludonarrative dissonance essentially means like a difference between the gameplay and the story. Like the gameplay says this thing is going on, but the story says this thing is going on. That can sometimes be a downside in some games. Like if you feel like it's ruining the story, if you're supposed to be a character that's going around preaching peace and then you go around like murdering everything in gameplay. Like that's ludonarrative dissonance. But in this case, the ludonarrative dissonance is for a better gameplay experience. Like I'm willing to suspend my disbelief that Elma ran all the way across the continent to join in on this cutscene, or somehow tagging along with us invisibly, or my other party members vanish when these cutscenes are going on, for the sake of better gameplay, just getting a better experience like that. I think that that is really quite nice. So the fact that I can use whoever the hell I want, whenever the hell I want, conveniently, and without as much restrictions on my party, felt like this game much more supported experimentation, unlike the very strict kind of rigid nature of the original game. Like, it really goes to show how rigid the original game felt after you play it and then Definitive Edition. Like, it is a fantastic change. That is probably my favorite quality of life change in this game, is that, honestly. I think when I unlocked Follow Ball, it may have implied that, like, it was better in this game than the previous one, or maybe I heard that somewhere. I don't really use Follow Ball, so I don't know for the life of me what that's like. The character creator in this game, it's cool how they added some new options, like some new hairstyles that are based on characters from the other Xenoblade Chronicles games that have come out since the original X came out. But when they're releasing a game 10 years later, like just sort of 10 years later, and they take away some of the options that were in the game 10 years ago, why? My last playthrough that I did, I played as my guy, my go-to guy that I always do when I play Xenoblade Chronicles X. My guy was the guy that I used the first time I played Xenoblade Chronicles X before I was a content creator. It's the guy that I used in my playthrough in 2018 when I was a brand new content creator. And he was my guy that I used in my playthrough in 2022. I always go with my guy. So I figured going into this, like, oh, let's go as, like, the female playable character this time, just to change things up. Just because, like, all my other Xenoblade Chronicles X content on the channel, I've been the guy. Except for, like, a brief bit during the last playthrough, where I briefly switched playable characters to the female playable character, just to showcase, like, hey, this is what the other character generally looks like, or at least a version that I've designed since it's a custom character. Showcase a little bit of both, but I was mainly playing my guy. So I thought I would do the opposite with this playthrough, where it's like, let's play as the female character just to, like, mix things up and showcase, like, different character and stuff like that. But I'll definitely do a segment as my guy. And because you can save configurations, I may as well make my guy at the beginning of the game, and I can use him sometime later. I can't make my guy anymore. Like, he'll have, like, the same face and body figure. I can do that all the same. But they took away the long hair option on the guy. The character creator is dumb as hell in the first place for the fact that the hair options that you can select for your character are locked between, like, the base that you select. So on most games, you would assume that when you're in a character creator and you're choosing, like, a starter character to start with, your base, that's just, like, a starter thing. Like, you can completely change it. You will have the customizability to make it look like any of the other starters if you change, like, sliders and do different things enough. It's just, like, what looks like the easiest starting point. Your base that you select in this game just determines your other options in the character creator, namely the hair options. So if I play as, like, an old man, then I can do, like, longish kind of hair, or like a ponytail that looks like, as it's tied up there, it could be around the length of my actual hair. If I play as the younger dude that looks like he's around my age, he's not gonna be able to have long hair. In the original game, he wouldn't be able to have hair as long as mine anyway, but it would go down to, like, the shoulders here or something. Now, in X Definitive Edition, like, there's some new hairstyles, like, apparently now you can do, like, a Mallows hairstyle and stuff. But they, for some inexplicable reason, took away the long hair option that my brain associates with my guy. It's gone. I'm probably one of the people that harps on the most about, like, the hair options in video games. Like, I think that the idea of locking hair options behind what base you select and things like your age not being customizable, you have to decide that with your base, and your base determines what kinds of hairs you're allowed to have, is just, like, one of the most brain-dead decisions I think I've ever seen for a character creator. Just allow us to select age outside of that, like, have that not be, you know, locked in with your base, and to have all the hairstyles available for everyone. What is the reason to limiting options? It's a character creator. You're supposed to be able to make the character you want to make, but it just doesn't let you do that. You want long hair? Be an old geezer. If you're playing the young guy, you don't get to have long hair. You also don't really get to have, like, a beard or a stash or anything like that if you want to have something like that. There are some options behind, like, some other bases if you want to be a geezer. Also, why can you be, like, an old man but not an old woman? It seems like, what? So, the character creator has some cool things going on, like the different tattoos, scars, the different eye options, the fact that you can select, like, a couple different colors for the eyes, the fact that you can do, like, roots and the ends of hair that results in a really cool effect. Like, stuff like that is cool. But I feel like losing the long hair option on my guy really emphasized to me just how shit the character creator is in Xenoblade Chronicles X. And again, like, great that they added some new options, but why not, at the very minimum, still have all the options that were in the original game? Why are they taking things away? Like, I guess they just really don't like young guys with long hair, that they wanted to get rid of that specific hairstyle to spite me. So if I want long hair, I either have to be like old geezer, or if I want something that's actually like flowing down and like going past shoulders more, I have to play as the female character. And like, her hair looks really cool. I actually quite like the black and red thingamabob that I have going on there. I think that does look really badass. But why can't I have that on my guy? X's character creator was always trash. That's true. But it was abstracted by that. It was abstracted for me a little bit in the past, because I was like, here's a hair option that I sort of like on the guy that I want to select anyway. And I never realized that hair options were locked behind bases. But now realizing that in my hunt for long hair options, it did really piss me off. So while I was planning on doing like my guy for a section of this playthrough, the fact that I can't do my guy really just kills my motivation to do that, which is such a shame, because this is my 4th time playing Xenoblade Chronicles X, and all 3 previous times I played as my guy. That is what my brain associates as the character that I play when I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles X. He's gone. He's dead and buried. He's gone with the Wii U. So I guess I'm playing this chick now. This is what I'm doing. So, you know, I was a bit upset spaghetti about that. Another way that I feel like the Wii U version is better, like I was mentioning briefly before, is with the use of the gamepad screen, where it's like, I can check the world map while I'm running around. Like, I can keep on holding forward with the left stick, making progress towards where I'm going, while looking at the bigger picture of where I'm going. This game, I have to pause it. It would be cool if there was an option in settings that was like, opening the map doesn't pause the game. So it would be like toggling the gamepad screen on or something like that, where it's like Y is just the toggle map on and off, but you can see in real time like what direction you're facing. So you press Y, open the map, see you're running this way, your cursor's facing that way, so you adjust course a little bit, now you're facing this way, now you're on target, and you press Y to toggle off the map and then keep on going. That would be kind of cool. I would like that. I don't know why they also changed some of the buttons, speaking of why. I'm pretty sure I opened the map by accident the first time when I was trying to disembark the Skell, because that used to be the embark, disembark Skell button, but now it's ZL. And I don't know how you reverse Skells anymore, just by like holding down, I guess, because I found out when I booted up Semu here the other day and was playing around with Skells. ZL used to be like the go and reverse button for Skells, but I don't know if that exists anymore then. But yeah, yep, it mostly does. It mostly allows you to. There's like 2 or 3 missions that it requires you to use Elma and Lin, but all the rest of them you can use any party member you want, and Elma and Lin will still appear in cutscenes as if they're there. And there's also a menu that allows you to switch party members in and out as you please. And they actually level in the background, so everyone is going to be generally around the same level, so you don't have to worry about someone that you're just not using being at like a terrible level and not being viable. So the way that they handle like the party customization in this game is just fantastic, in what the original game should have been, because it was pretty darn shit in the original game. Because yeah, like you say, it is Elma and Lin simulator in the original game, so I quite like that change here. Anyway, with the map, I did like the freedom that came with it. And also, why did they change like how long it takes to interact with Frontier Nav? Like, I hate it when games have input delay. Like, not in terms of lag or input buffer, but just like deliberately designed input delay. Like, you've just done this option and your inputs are not gonna do shit until like this time has passed or this animation has finished playing. But that's what they did with Frontier Nav. So in the original game, like, you basically just like tap that spot on the touchscreen, select the probe that you want to put in, tap like put it in, like it's done immediately. You can immediately start scrolling, you can start doing the next one, and you can just do them like really fast because there is no input delay. Like, the only delay is just like how fast you can do it, and I guess like the menu opening up of showing like which probe you want to select and stuff like that. You know, you don't have to sit through stuff. But in this game, you put down a probe and it doesn't actually go in immediately. It takes like 1 second before it even goes in, and then like a full second where it's just like the sound effects and animation of it appearing. Like, sure, you can have the animation and sound effects, but just give me control. It just locks out my controls for like a solid 2 seconds, which doesn't sound like that much. But when you're dealing with like 40, 50 some FN sites, however the hell many FN sites are in this game, probably more than that, probably around like 50 or 60-ish, and you're trying to redo your entire network, and every single one that you tap is going to force you to wait for a solid 2 seconds just so you can see the animation before it lets you progress. It just becomes a pain in the ass and kills my motivation to like redo my networks when I know it's going to be such a pain in the ass to take all this stuff out and put everything in when there's this delay. Just allow me to put stuff in as fast as I can input putting this stuff in. It also felt like there was input delay in issuing commands. Like, I would press the plus button to issue commands to my party, and I would press down and A like really fast after pressing plus, and it wouldn't register the down. It would just do the A, and it would do like the standard thing. And it's like, what's with the input delay? Why can't I just like play around with the menu like immediately after I open it up? It basically forces you to wait for a second. And, you know, again, these are not long time spans by any means, but it adds up when you're trying to do stuff fast. So it is very annoying, and I don't remember that being a problem in the original game. So that is definitely a way in which the original game is superior. Got hit with an ad while you're explaining. If you're here now, DS Shock Trooper, and want another brief explanation of like how the party system works in this game, I can give that. And one more way that it feels like the original game is better than this one is, again, like I could be misremembering, the last time that I played was 2018, was the lag issues. My god, this game actually lagged out the wazoo. I do not remember having this many performance issues with the original game. Like I was saying earlier this stream, playing this game actually just felt like if I was playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet without the world looking like shit. This felt like playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet if Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was like an actual beautiful game and not like one of the worst eyesores ever made. But like, the performance felt that bad. At least in this case, the performance is bad while experiencing a beautiful world. I don't know how the heck Monolith Soft got Xenoblade Chronicles X running on the Wii U. I don't know how they got it running on the Switch, included more content, and significantly brought down the total data size. Like, so I absolutely blame the hardware here, not Monolith Soft, but it does kind of surprise me with these performance issues that they wouldn't just make this like a Switch 2 exclusive title. Like, if there really are performance enhancements for the Switch 2 version and like 60 FPS and stuff like that, that would be great. And then I guess it would make sense that, you know, the Switch is supposed to be a little bit more powerful than the Wii U. Like, marginally, not by that much, since it's like a handheld and stuff like that, but a little smidge more powerful than the Wii U. And this was running on the Wii U before, so it makes sense that this would be able to run on the Switch. But it does feel like the performance isn't as good. The loading times are better. I can definitely say the loading times are better in this than the original game, especially if you didn't download like the 20 gigabyte patch that made the game load faster than the original. You don't download that patch, you gotta be ready to like wait around for a long ass time for the area that you're fast traveling to load. Like, it was a pain in the original game. This game actually loads really fast. The load times on this are actually really good. But like the general performance, there are frame drops like crazy. The game speed is tied to the frame rate. So as you're running around through a laggy area or like some of those end game caves, it felt like my character was running through water or something like that. Just like pushing up against like this force that's like pushing them back. Just because like the game is slowing down. So I noticed that like running across some areas, like the end game caves are a good one to cite. Or as I'm doing like overdrive shenanigans and there's a lot of enemies on the field, the game starts going really slow. And there was a lot of hiccups along the way that I pointed out where it's just like, oh my god, it's like the friggin' slideshow is what some instances were like. Yeah, there was an optional 20 gigabyte patch in the original Wii U version that made the game load faster. And I still feel like I could be misremembering here because it's been a long time, but it does feel like this game loads faster than even the Wii U version with that patch. So, like, the load times are really good. I quite like that, but the performance is not great. If I wasn't a content creator, and if there wasn't like the new Epilogue content that I wanted to see, I mean, even with the new Epilogue content, maybe I'd just look it up on YouTube. If I wasn't a content creator, I don't think that I could see myself really committing to this game. I would say, hey, I'm gonna wait until I get a Switch 2, and then when I get a Switch 2, then I'm gonna go ham on this game when it actually performs well. Because this was genuinely not a great experience performance-wise. Again, like, props to them for getting this vast world running on the piece of shit that is the Switch. Because, yeah, Monolith Soft really does know how to push hardware to the limits. Like, I do have the utmost respect for Monolith Soft and what they're able to do. But yeah, this just felt like not right on the Switch. So maybe this will be a title that was designed with like the Switch 2 in mind, but is available for those with a Switch 1 to play if they want to play it as well, just with like some pretty crap performance along the way. So I was not very impressed with the performance of this game, and without a new epilogue I wanted to rush towards, and without if I wasn't a content creator, I would just wait until the Switch 2. And for those thinking about picking up this game, I would honestly say maybe wait until the Switch 2 if you're thinking about picking up a Switch 2, because the performance of this is not fantastic. Still like a vast, beautiful world, super fun game to play, but the performance is pretty crap. So I was hoping that this game would be nothing but better than the Wii U version, but there are definitely things that I do prefer about the Wii U version. There are some ways that I think that version is superior. This version has more ways in which it is superior, so this is like the better version to go with nowadays, I would argue. But there are some things that I like about the Wii U version, like the better performance, the stuff that I can do with the Wii U gamepad that allows me to like multitask. Like as I'm running from point A to point B, I can change around the probes in my network. The fact that you can do it so dang fast. The fact that I don't remember there really being input delay with that. Having long hair option on my guy. There are some ways that I do prefer the original, which I was hoping I wouldn't say at the end of this, that this would be purely superior, but there are some ways that I prefer the Wii U original. But this one definitely does have more things I really like. I do like how with these definitive editions that Monolith Soft has done with both Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade X, they take it as an opportunity to like restore cut content and bring it closer to like the vision that they would have originally had in mind. Well, like maybe not redesigning things to the vision they had in mind. Like the bionic shoulder was not factored into the main story of Xenoblade 1 DE, and the Black Knight was repurposed to be Al because, let's face it, like I was saying earlier this stream, I doubt that Al was who they originally intended the Black Knight to be. The Black Knight was going to have the Hresvelg skull and wear all the armor and stuff, so I think he was clearly going to be a different figure. And then the pilot that was Elma's partner was probably going to be someone else. Probably. Someone else that isn't the Black Knight, not someone else that isn't Al, for clarification there. So, like, even if it's not doing, like, the original purpose, like, keeping the games of both Xenoblade 1 and X the way that they were originally, but just with bonus stuff that repurposes the things that they had planned before, I do think is really cool. Like, finally getting to explore the bionic shoulder, which did exist in Xenoblade 1 original. If you hack the game and explore the area, it wasn't complete. It was mostly complete, and it did exist in the game files of the original. Whereas with this game, like, there's a lot of things in the art book for the original game that they wanted to implement but didn't make it to the original game. Like, for example, Nail. You can find concept art of her from like 10 years ago. You can find concept art of the Black Knight, and his skull was going to be the Hresvelg. You look at concept art of the Hresvelg, and it looks basically the exact same as the Hresvelg in this. But instead, they were like, let's make the Black Knight be Elma's old partner, the pilot, Alois there. Let's, turn the Hresvelg into just like another skull that's being developed at NLA and you can unlock and play with. So, you know, the Hresvelg skull definitely felt very shoehorned in, but I'm glad that this thing that was planned for the original game and like there's concept art of and looks amazing is now something that you can play around with, even if it does end up going in a way that feels shoehorned, where it's just like, yep, this thing that was going to be the exclusive skull of the Black Knight, yeah, it's just a thing that's made by Granada and New LA now, and you can play around with it. Better than nothing. Better than it being relegated to the art book and finally being able to play around with that really cool skull. So I really appreciate them taking time to bring things closer to their vision and restoring content that they originally wanted to put in, whether that be the bionic shoulder, the Hresvelg skull, Nail, or what have you. So when they're called definitive edition, it really does feel like they do live up to the name of Definitive Edition in terms of like, hey, this is a lot closer to the vision that we had in mind, and this stuff that we didn't get the chance to do the first time, we're gonna take the time to do it this time. So, you know, sometimes a lot of Nintendo remasters and stuff like that just feel like, hey, here's update art style and it's available on this console. But when Monolith Soft brings stuff over and update the art style, it's not just that, it's restoring content that would have been in the original anyway, and it feels like you're better able to experience what would have originally been planned, you know? And I think that that's really quite cool. Is there anything else to say about general gameplay before I get into like the epilogue content? It is cool to be getting like new characters along the way, like Nail, finally finding out what the hell the rings in Oblivia are. I do at some point want to come back and do the rest of the affinity missions for the new characters. Like, I am really curious about what Nail's second affinity mission is going to be like. Maybe there will be something interesting with Liesel as well. We'll get to experience like some stuff with Gajarg. The one that I'm most interested in is Nail. That's the one that feels like is gonna drop like the most lore about different things. Still prefer the Wii U art style. That's fair enough. That is definitely fair enough there. They are definitely a decent smidge different. So yeah, I appreciate having like some more content along the way with that. Oh, here's a big gameplay change that I forgot to mention. The removal of blade levels. In the original game, you would choose your division towards the beginning of the game like you had to here. And whichever division you choose would give you EXP towards advancing your blade level based on the actions that you're doing, like, about that division. So, like, Prospectors, for example, you'll get Blade EXP for, like, picking up items and, like, exploring caves and stuff like that. If you're a Pathfinder, you'll be getting a bunch of Blade EXP for each of the FN sites you give. Each of the FN sites you find and put a probe in and stuff. If you're a Mediator, you'll get, like, Blade EXP for doing side quests, for example. And Blade EXP was a really important thing, because... I'm sorry to cough here, what the heck? Because you couldn't actually harvest everything at first. There was 5 levels of all of the, like, collecting skills. Biological, archaeological, and mechanical. And each item in the world was assigned, like, a level 1 to 5, in terms of, like, what level you need to be able to harvest it. So, you know, maybe at the beginning of the game you can go around and harvest a decent handful of things, but not most at this point, because you need to get, like, level 2 of these skills, and level 3 of these skills, and all that. And it always made the most sense to go mechanical first, because I think that there was FN sites that you just couldn't install the probe at if you didn't have high enough mechanical skill. So even if you managed to, like, cheese your way to some probe site early, the game's just like, guess you're out of luck, you don't have a high enough mechanical field skill. So you always want to focus on mechanical first, and then biological, archaeological, just do them whenever you want. But you would have to grind up your blade level throughout the game before being able to, like, harvest most of the things. So while I would check around, like, the little yellow harvestable things, chances are I wouldn't be able to get most of them for a long time anyway. I would only go around, like, actually making an effort to, like, seek all them out and be harvesting them after I've gotten, like, my field skills leveled up. You would need to get everything up to level 4 by leveling up your blade level, and then you would need to do the off-the-record basic missions that could now appear in the mission terminal and solve the riddles with those to be able to unlock level 5. This game instead completely got rid of blade levels. They don't exist in this game anymore, which makes me wonder what the hell is the point of choosing a division. I believe that there are some bonus stats associated with, like, each division's, like, this one boosts range attack, this one boosts melee attack, which I don't think the game ever tells you about, but if that's in this, then, like, there's still point in choosing a division for that. But now it's more so just, like, an icon of, like, how you want to represent yourself online, I guess, for, like, what division you want to show or what icon you want to have in your menu. Because there are no more blade points. There's no reason to, like, focus on doing the tasks of your division. So if there really isn't the gameplay bonuses, and again, the game doesn't tell you about them, if so, a casual player wouldn't know this, you're basically just choosing whatever icon you think looks the coolest, and you still have, like, the whole intro about, like, what all the different divisions do, and then you join a division, and so you're expected to mostly focus on the things of that division. But it affects, like, nothing. So I do wish that there was still, like, point to the divisions. I definitely like being able to go around the world and be able to harvest, like, 99% of the things right off the bat. I like that, rather than having to farm up my blade level. But I do wish that there was still like some point to the divisions, especially now that this game has like the division icons next to each character's name if they're part of a division, making it feel like it is something of substance, it's something important, when really it just isn't. It's just whatever logo you think is cool now. So I like being able to harvest things, but I do wish that divisions felt like they had a little bit more of a purpose, you know, is what I do definitely wish. This game still has the off-the-record missions, and I guess you can just get those at any point now, since you already start off with, like, the level 4, and the things that are level 5 are different from the things that were level 5 in the original game. Like, it's just, hey, these things around the world, you can only get when you get, like, the off-the-record thingamabob, and get the not level 5, just the new, like, mechanical field skill, for example. Like, that big trailer in NLA that's taunting you the whole time is kind of the introduction that some things are locked and you have to do off the record and stuff. So it looks like that kind of stuff was left in the game, I guess probably for the sake of still having off the record, but there's really not a whole lot of things that are locked to you. There's not a whole lot of things that are locked behind level 5. Well, I guess it's not really called level 5 in this game. It's just with the power of your mechanical field skill, you were able to harvest the things. So it is a lot more convenient in this game, but I do wish that divisions had a little bit more substance to them. They're just fun little badges in this game. Unless they come with, like, the gameplay bonuses that it doesn't tell you about. Is there anything else generally to mention about this game? Would have been cool if there was more basic skill models added, in the sense of, like, ones that you can customize. Hey, I love having the Restvelg one that was planned for the original game. But it did feel a little bit lackluster with, like, the amount of other skill types that there are. Like, you've got 3 light options, 2 medium options, 2 heavy options. You know, I would have liked a little bit more than that. Like, maybe add, like, a 3rd heavy option with, like, a new design, a 3rd medium option, and then you have, like, 3 of each or something. That would have been kind of cool. I definitely wouldn't have minded something like that. But it's not the end of the world on that front or anything. That might be all the things when it comes to basic gameplay now that I've gone through. I don't remember how the Yggdrasil Zero and Telethia Plume worked in the original game, if they were timed things. Maybe they were, but, you know, having to wait several days if you want to fight Yggdrasil Zero is a little bit of a pain in the ass, admittedly. And then needing to be on it, like, soon enough to get that RP, as it sounds like. You know, a little bit of a pain. It is really cool how Xenoblade Chronicles X is the one multiplayer Xenoblade Chronicles game, in the sense that you can do missions as your avatar with other people with their avatars, or if you don't have others to play with, or don't want to do it with randos online, because I think you can do it with randos online. You can use, like, your own party members, is what this game seemed to say. I don't remember if you could do that in the original game. So it is cool that there's multiplayer. I do still think that it would be really cool to have, like, a co-op playable campaign in a Xenoblade Chronicles game. They would probably need to pull off, like, split screen, which the Switch might not be able to handle with a game like this. Like getting into Xenoblade games on the Switch. Maybe for future Xeno games we'd be able to see that. Because otherwise, like, yeah, it had multiplayer as a thing. But otherwise, like, your AI allies have the same tools that any other player would have. It's not like they have things that are unique to them. You can switch your playable character and play as them anytime you want. They just have the same tools a normal player would have, but with an AI taking over. So why not let other players take that role? So I do think that it is cool that X experiments with multiplayer, but it is definitely very basic. Like, just, hey, here's a handful of, like, start to finish missions that you can accept that take, you know, anywhere from, like, 5 to 20 minutes maybe, that you can do with, like, multiple people playing together. Maybe at Megaland, if Maverick is at that, since I know he's playing Xenoblade Chronicles X for the first time with this version. Maybe I'll ask him if he wants to play some Xenoblade X in multiplayer together with me at Megaland or something. And, like, just sit by one another and do some multiplayer Xenoblade Chronicles X gaming together. Like, maybe that'd be fun. I don't think I've ever actually played it with anyone that I know. I've only ever played with randoms. Yeah, you could. And then you would have them for a limited time. And then if, like, you give them a bunch of experience during the limited time that you have them, then you get, like, a whole bunch of rewards from it or something. I don't remember exactly how it works. I'll play around with it later and figure it out. So it is cool that I experimented with it, but I would like to see more efforts for, like, co-op general campaign Xenoblade stuff in the future. Imagine going around, like, doing something like Xenoblade Chronicles X in split screen with, like, a couple people. Like, I would imagine that would be, like, a really massive pain in the ass to program, and would need some better hardware than this. But wouldn't that be so cool? You know? So, you know, props for there being some multiplayer here, but, you know, it's just go do missions where you're playing your avatar, other people are playing their avatars in these very short individual missions that I don't even remember there being a massive ton of different ones of. Like there's a decent few, but not anything that's gonna like keep you occupied for a super long time, I don't think. I could be getting false memories on that, but that's what I remember. That might be everything about the general game now. There's always a lot that I want to say about Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles games in general. I guess I'll talk about the epilogue now. I was definitely a bit thrown off when I found out that it was all just Chapter 13. Chapter 13 Part 1, Chapter 13 Part 2, Chapter 13 Part 3. Now that I know that it is one of those games that resets you back to not only before the final boss, but before doing all of Chapter 13 in general. Now I think it makes more sense why it's Chapter 13 Act 1, 2, and 3, as opposed to like Chapter 13, 14, and 15. But, you know, I was definitely a bit thrown off at that, and it's like, oh, well, just one chapter, 3 parts is probably really short then. My god, I was wrong. That was pretty chonky, which I appreciate. I like having some substance to the new content. I actually quite enjoyed that. Nintendo's always been anti-online with their games. You're not wrong. Nintendo makes some really good games sometimes, but they always make like really crap online multiplayer stuffs. it's just how it goes. So yeah. When it came to the epilogue story, immediately as we get into it, Mira is vanishing, and it's like, oh, what the heck? Why is stuff dematerializing? And it very much gave the vibes of Subspace Emissary, with all these purple orbs going and spreading and absorbing mass into them and stuff like that. I am really glad that the ghosts were touched upon immediately. I still have more questions about the ghosts. Yeah, that's what they do usually. So before, with the original game, we just knew that the ghosts were the ones that were fighting the Ganglion at the beginning of the game, that were fighting over Earth and stuff. And that's pretty much it. Whereas in this, we immediately get to see the ghosts. We see some Blade members get vaporized, and that's never really explained, though. And then we go to fight the ghost, and we don't get vaporized, so, like, what's protecting us from getting vaporized? It's not like the ghosts used, like, some sort of attack that they couldn't withstand, and then they got vaporized. Like, it just kind of looked at them funny, and then they got vaporized, so I don't understand. Like, maybe it's just, like, a strength kind of thing, and we were stronger than those guys, or however the heck that works, but I still don't know what was going on with the vaporization. And now, I feel like, in the original game, the ghosts were probably just meant to be, like, a faction that takes place in the story of Xenoblade Chronicles X, because I believe I heard that the ghosts were originally planned to have presence in Xenoblade X, but they just didn't really with the version of the game that came out. But now it feels like the ghosts have been repurposed from a force that has a role in Xenoblade Chronicles X to more of a force that is going to have, like, more general purpose kind of stuff. Because now we know that they're, like, the correcting kind of agents of the universe. They don't really have a will of their own. They just kind of appear when, like, the universe is, like, doing some weird shit and they need to, like, go and delete some stuff. And clearly they're connected to the conduit in some way, we now know. So the fact that the conduit is intimately connected to the Ares, since the Ares is, like, a version of the conduit that has been turned into, like, these 6 cores that I'll talk about in a sec here. And the ghosts are always going to go towards the Ares. Doesn't that mean that, like, whatever universe the characters go to, the ghosts are always going to be after them? If the ghosts are, like, multiversal guys, which it seems to imply, considering the universe that Earth was in and the universe that Mira was in are established to be different universes, and the ghosts can just follow along with the Ares anyway. So clearly the ghosts can go to different universes. So won't the ghosts, like, always be on their trail? But I mean, they can also only go, like, the heroes can only go to other universes using the Ares anyway, so they have no choice but for the ghosts to always be after them. Were the ghosts the ones causing the dematerialization events and destroying Mira, or was that Void, and the ghosts just happened to be there at the same time? They were kind of coming out of the dematerialization voids, which implies that, like, they were the ones destroying that universe, so are the heroes just gonna, like, universe hop as the ghosts continue to destroy stuff? Or maybe the next Xenos game will see us, like, facing the ghosts as the main antagonists and destroying them for good to, like, secure safety for the universe and not let another thing like Earth or another thing like Mira happen again. Like, this is going to be the universe that we truly save instead of just running away and letting it get destroyed. Is that what the plot of the next Xeno game is going to be? So, by having the ghosts just be like universe correcting kind of things, where it's like stuff gets a little bit messed up, the ghosts appear and they kind of correct it. And that's all we really know about the ghosts. Like, I'll rewatch these cutscenes at some point and see what else I can pick apart. But that's my general impressions right here. It feels like the ghosts are being kind of set up for a future villain. Kind of like the Fog Beast and Fog King were in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Future Connected, where it's like, hey, we know a little bit about them and they exist, but it feels more like hints of what to come. But unlike Future Connected had like the main antagonists of the Fog Beast and the Fog King, with just, who the hell are these guys? This isn't explained, like what the hell is going on. It's literally just a teaser trailer for what's next to come. This, meanwhile, the ghosts were a faction, but they weren't the final boss, and they weren't like the main threat being Void, and the ghosts just putting like more of a wrench into the works that increases the stakes, because now it's like a three-way war thing going on. So I feel like if it was just the ghosts and we didn't know why like Mira was being destroyed here and we just skedaddled to another universe and escaped the ghosts, it would feel kind of like Future Connected in that it just feels like more of a teaser trailer for what's to come without really doing anything interesting enough on its own. But by having Void, aka the Great One, as like our final boss and the guy that we're working towards while the ghosts are around, we can still have that kind of teaser with the ghosts, but it doesn't feel like this whole new epilogue exists purely to be a teaser. So that's something that I appreciate about this epilogue compared to Future Connected. I prefer this one. Give me online co-op in a Pikmin game in 3 or 4. Give me online co-op in a mainline Kirby game. Actually make all multiplayer Mario games have online. Why does Mario 3D World have online, but New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe doesn't? Because Nintendo and stuff. It is 5:28 in the morning. I gotta get all my thoughts out here. Then go immediately to bed. So I definitely like that. A lot of the questions being answered of the original game. Like, first of all, when it comes to the epilogue and its ending, it felt a lot more conclusive. The ending of the original game was just like, fuck you, we're not answering these questions, look out for the next game. Whereas this game is like, okay, it actually has an ending. It's clearly leading into the next thing that's going to happen, and it does make you curious, like, what's going to happen next? But it's better to have that, that was interesting, and like, it'll be interesting to see what adventure is next, as opposed to the original game, where it's a feeling of, I gotta know what happens next, like I felt for the past decade here, that I'm glad is finally resolved. Like, that felt a lot more conclusive. Like, we got answers about who the Great One is, being Void there, that was intimately connected to Samar. Being created by Samar, or being like an old Samarian, or whatever the heck. I'm gonna have to rewatch the cutscenes. And actually returning to the Fog Beast for a second, having this whole plot line to defeat the Fog Beast and the Fog King, again, it is very much just a setup for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and especially Future Redeemed with the DLC, is very much what it felt like. Where at the end, Shulk and Melee are just like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but it's a whole new threat for a whole new world, or whatever line they used. Whereas this had like the ghosts as potential setup for future stuff, but it also focused on like a plot point that actually concluded what felt like the natural story of Xenoblade Chronicles X. Having the main antagonist be the Great One that Luxar worshipped and that the Vita was a vessel for. That felt like a natural progression, and not just an out-of-nowhere foe like the Fog Beast that exists purely to tease the next thing that we're going to do, you know? Is very much what that felt like. So this both set up with ghosts, presumably, I assume we'll see them in some future games, while also feeling like it wrapped up the storyline of Xenoblade Chronicles X and our adventure on Mira here as we face the Ganglion and Luxar, when the final boss is the Great One that we've been constantly hearing about, and it was a complete mystery who he was before. So it felt like it wasn't only setting up for what was to come, but also to feel like it's wrapping up the story of Xenoblade Chronicles X by facing the Great One and Void and all that. So I do gotta give it props for that, and I do like that this wasn't purely set up, that it did feel like the conclusion of the adventure on Mira with the final boss being the Great One, and kind of delving into the Great One's backstory a bit and stuff. This story brought a lot of interesting lore to the table. What with the whole multiversal thing, like we already knew about like Xenoblade multiverse kind of thing existing, considering the conduit would kind of tap into other universes and have energy from other universes and stuff like that. The conduit is still a decent bit of a mystery to this day. And so we knew about that, but now that we know that there's like other methods to get into other universes, I mean, I guess if the stuff with the Ares Prime was based off of the conduit, then I guess it makes sense why it was able to get into other universes. But like, what brought the Manon to Mira, and the Orpheon, I think they're called, and the Ganglion, because we were fighting the ghosts over what seemed to be Mira when he did like the blast and, you know, got sent into another dimension. Like, how did the white whale get sent into another dimension? Like, in the original game, Mira very much gave the impression like it was pulling people in. Like, they would see a flash of light, and they would suddenly be on Mira, and you can't leave Mira anymore, as its weird little pocket dimension thing. Which this game confirmed, it's like a weird pocket dimension thing. So, how did they all get in there? Are there gonna be people that can, like, dissect the story here and kind of figure that out? Also, are there like multiple conduits, like different conduits in different universes, and then like this conduit in this universe can interact with this conduit in this universe, and that's how they're sharing like energy and information and stuff? Because, I mean, the conduit in this cutscene looked like it was purple. Like, we very briefly saw it. Like, Al just very briefly mentioned the conduit, like, was a thing that Void was studying and split into 6 cores and made like the Ares Prime, and then the ghosts were all pissed off at that and, you know, came after him, and then Samar was like, hey, that's not cool of you to do that, we're gonna imprison you now. And then, you know, just the whole symbolism with like, I know that Monolith Soft and Xenoblade has very much loved its like religious illusions. I mean, just look at like Xenoblade 1 and like Juju being kidnapped by Zord and him doing like the cross and stuff like that. Or things like the world tree and the creator at the top, like different kind of symbols and stuff. A better example in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 might be like Nia's theme, essentially, Drifting Souls, having lyrics mentioning things like the Jacob's Ladder and stuff like that. Like, Xenoblade loves its religious illusions. And the epilogue of this very much embraced that with the whole idea of, like, gods and angels, and the idea of whatever that final place was called, essentially being heaven and stuff, and giving a lot for people to dissect in terms of meaning. It felt like the epilogue was a lot more focused on story than the main game was. So many cutscenes and so much stuff being explained. How much knowledge is exactly in Al's brain? Also, again, with Al, the fact that Alois, he goes by Al, which is similar to Alvis, or Alois is the same amount of characters as Alvis. He goes by Al, which is really similar to like A in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, or Alpha there, which is also 5 characters, and he has short silver hair, and is aware of like bigger picture stuff because he's messed around with the multiversal stuff. I feel like those are coincidences that Monolith Soft wouldn't really do, and like maybe there's some sort of connection there, and maybe there's like other universe equivalents of characters or something like that, like he's this universe's equivalent of Elvis, I don't know, because with Void dicking around with the conduit, that makes it sound like he was this universe's equivalent of Klaus. But then also, still, what the hell is going on with, like, the radio broadcast in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that said that Project Exodus was also going on in Klaus's world? Because that still doesn't make sense. Like, I don't get it. Maybe there was a separate Project Exodus going on in Klaus's world, unrelated to, like, the Project Exodus of that one, and just goes to show that there's, like, similarities across different worlds. Like, these worlds are connected, and that would actually make sense for how they would tie in Xenosaga, I think. I think that might actually explain the radio broadcast in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 now that I'm thinking about it here at 5:35 a.m. So, this universe, we have an Elvis equivalent that, you know, goes by Al. He has short silver hair. He's aware of, like, multiversal stuff and, you know, seeing the really bigger picture kind of stuff. This universe seems to have a Klaus equivalent being Void, the Great One, because he was dicking around with the conduit and doing like weird multiversal stuff, like just like Klaus was doing in the world of Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 there. And then the stuff with Xenosaga, whereas like Xenosaga has an equivalent of Klaus as well, being freaking Dmitry Yuriev or whatever his name is, where he was the one that was dicking around with the Zohar, which is the equivalent of the conduit in the Xenosaga games. Which makes me wonder if like Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 are a universe, Xenoblade Chronicles X is a universe, and the Xenosaga games are a universe, but they all share like similar properties, and they all have either like a conduit or a Zohar, or maybe like different universes refer to it in different ways, and these are like the gateways into one another. So like the X universe's conduit was repurposed into Ares Prime, and then they came to like that final world. Maybe there's some weird thing that goes on with the Zohar in Xenosaga episode 3 that sends Cosmos to that same planet, because I assume that it's all probably going to be the same planet, that things are going to be brought together for like the next Xeno thing. And then the radio broadcast in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 showing that there exists a Project Exodus, but it works differently than how Project Exodus worked in Xenoblade Chronicles X, where it's more like, yeah, we're just kind of going out and colonizing different planets and like spreading our reach over space, is the impression that the Xenoblade 3 one gave, whereas in Xenoblade X, it's out of necessity to escape the planet being destroyed. We have like the Alvis kind of equivalent of like the short hair going by Alvis or Al or A or whatever the heck, and being aware of multiversal stuff and having a lot of power and stuff, and being directly connected to the conduit, whether it's like Alvis as the true Monado, having like the conduit's power, or Al here having the power of Ares Prime, which we know is essentially the conduit here. Both the worlds of Xenoblade 1 and 2 together into the world of Xenoblade 3 at least having the power of Ouroboros and like Mobius there, which are like multiple things coming together and getting this power, like multiple consciousnesses together, which can form Ouroboros or Mobius and have like these cores that have this really funky design, which just so happens to be the exact same core design as the Ares Prime. The Ares Prime pulling out its sword is right out of its chest like that, just like Noah did with the Sword of the End in Xenoblade 3. The Ares Prime being formed during the final boss is all those orbs going into the air, all those cores spinning around, coming together and becoming the Ares Prime. Just like all the characters turning into the cores in the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed, spinning around and becoming like the first true Ouroboros. So, like, does that mean then that Ouroboros is directly connected to the conduit's power? It would make sense as like identifying like the Sword of the End, Sword of Origin as like a type of Monado then, slash Aegis, slash whatever the heck thingamabob you want to call it that taps into the conduit's power, just like Ares Prime having the same power as Ouroboros. So you have these equivalents in things that are different universes. So I think X Definitive with its epilogue does indeed confirm that this is a separate universe from Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. At least it was. They might be in the same universe now. we shall see here. But it was for sure a different universe. And in the universe of Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, we had a Project Exodus, but it was handled different. And we have a Dmitry Yuriev, but I think I remember hearing that, like, the spelling of the name of Dmitry Yuriev is spelled slightly differently than in Xenosaga, and clearly in the Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 world, it was Klaus that was messing around with the conduit, not Dmitry, but someone named Dmitry exists and is, like, still a prominent scientist and stuff. So I'm starting to think that the radio broadcast in 3 wasn't meant to say that this all is one world, all one universe, and we're gonna find a way to like retcon it all together. But rather, I think it's taking the approach of these are separate universes, but they have a lot of similarities across one another. Dmitry Yuriev from the Xenosaga games, yeah, he exists here, but he doesn't have the same role as he did in the other universes. Project Exodus of Xenoblade X, yeah, that exists here, but it doesn't have the same role as in Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like, there's parallels across these things. In that world, we have those parallels to X and Xenosaga, and in this game, we have parallels to, like, an A equivalent. We have a Klaus equivalent with the Void. We have a Conduit as well, a Conduit slash Zohar, and we have, like, a Ouroboros equivalent. So these are separate universes, but their mechanics are kind of shared in that sense, and like some of the main things going on are shared. Like it goes in a as if they were part of like a similar timeline, but they branched in like different directions or something like that is maybe the approach that they'll take. And maybe the similarities across their universes is what ends up bringing them together or something like that. I don't know. I also wonder if like different universes constitute different times is the direction that they're gonna take. Because in the bit where we saw Al like in the multiversal rift and being able to see all the different universes around him, first he saw Xenoblade Chronicles 1, then he saw 3, then 2. I don't know if the order necessarily matters or if they did that like randomly there. Does that mean that like 3 is a separate universe from 1 and 2 or like whatever weird thing is going on there? I guess it's kind of like a pocket dimension like Mira or whatever the heck. But 3 is the future of 1 and 2. So if the order of those matters, then it's implied that as you travel a different universe, you could travel at different times because there's a different one for each time or something too. If that's an approach that they would take. Like, it could just be coincidence. I feel like it's probably just coincidence that I ramble on about it. But maybe they'll do something with that. And, like, clearly he saw the worlds of Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 while he was in that multiversal rift. So, did he decide to go to that new world when picking a world at the end? I would presume so here. I want to check out of curiosity here. The world at the end of Future Redeemed and at the end of Xenosaga, did it have rings? Because the ring around the planet seemed like a very clear design choice. Maybe it's a different planet, but it's in the same universe as the as our heroes from the other games. Hold on, let's see here. Xenoblade Chronicles Future Redeemed, all cutscenes. Let's see here. We still have a lot of questions about like the true nature of Samar, I feel like, but considering like, and maybe those ones aren't going to be answered potentially, like this game got into a decent bit and maybe it's better to leave some mysteries around. I feel like the ghosts are going to be touched more upon in future games though, considering the way that they were set up here as like universe correctors, and now that we know that like the story is going down a multiversal path. Yeah, you can see that like it jumps me to here because this is what we were watching last. But yeah, I was really concerned with this radio broadcast that they were going to try and say, hey, all these things are canon in like the same universe. They're all going on at the same time somehow. And that it was just going to become like an insane mess of retconning and nothing was going to make sense and the story was going to be so sacrificed. But I do feel confident now that this is just to say that there's parallels across these universes. They share similarities rather than them all taking place at once. Like, they have a lot of things that are equivalent across them. That's what I think it is. What I want to see is the planet at the end. Let's see here. There's Jupiter. There's the world separating and stuff. And then they, like, come back together again and they make a new world. I don't see a ring on that. And then you have, like, the light coming down that my camera might block. Yeah, my camera kind of blocks. Which draws a parallel with, like, Cosmos coming down to the world. Like, the ring at the end of Xenoblade X here seems like a very deliberate design choice. And then Xenosaga Episode 3 post-credits scene. Spoilers for when we get to Xenosaga, but I've already shown these before. This credits, sure. I've clicked on that one before, it looks like. So, like, you see Cosmos going towards a planet. It looks like two bodies. And then going towards a thing there. I don't see any rings on that one either. Xenosaga, and people assume that like the light at the end of Xenoblade 3 was Cosmos there. How about, there's probably full cutscene movies of this now because I was looking stuff up before. X definitive epilogue. I guess I can look at it in my own stream. What happens if I refresh this? Is it gonna have like more stuff? I've never tried refreshing these before. Hell yeah! Look, I'm here. We're gonna get some Inception stuff here. How far back do I have to go? It is 5:45 in the morning. I've been giving this review for a decent while because I had a lot to say about this game. I can just look back at my own stream now, is what I can do. I do think I liked Void as a villain more than I liked A. A was just like, or Alpha, not A. Alvis, whatever the heck, was just the machine that used to be good, but then decide he was going to be evil, and like reset to factory settings or something weird there. And for whatever reason, that constituted the people of this new world should get to live and go make a new world while everyone else can go screw themselves. Why? You would never understand. You simply could not comprehend it, Matthew. Like, what lazy ass writing. So I did much prefer Void, the Great One. Like, I still will prefer villains like Zanzar or Malos. But this was definitely better than Alpha was. I feel like... Hold on, let's see here. Maybe we'll find out what ripped him apart at some point. Let's see here. I'll definitely have to rewatch some of this stuff later. Did I skip past the stuff with the conduit? Did I do that? Because, yeah, there was the part where he was in prison and stuff. Dang, I went too far back. This stream has been going on far too long. Come on. Yeah. Go back. Go back a hot second. So yeah, let's see here. Long ago in a galaxy far, far away, born as a citizen of Samar. So he himself was a Samarian. Friggin' purple conduit there. Certified genius obsessed with studying the ultimate matter, the conduit. Whereas in Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, the one that was studying the conduit was Klaus. So yeah, I do feel like these are separate universes, the conduit connects them, and the X universe's equivalent of the conduit became the Ares Prime then. Is what that's telling us. Instilling its power into 6 cores, he crafted the Ares. Are the 6 cores basically like 6 Monados, or like the conduit itself was actually broken up into like 6 cores? We still don't really know the true nature of the conduit. We don't know why it vanished at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, why it basically doesn't exist at all in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Where it came from, is there like some being behind it? I don't think this is something answered in Xenosaga either with a Zohar, so I really feel like the Xeno whatever comes next will probably end up tying this stuff together, and I mean, clearly the ghosts seem like they're connected to the conduit in some way. Doubt that was the original plan when they first made Xenoblade Chronicles X, but this is what they've written the ghosts into now. Maybe that's why the Vita has a purple theme as well, is there's like the purple conduit and stuff, but... yeah, and then we go to a new world, too far back. Hey look, I got another 100 bits! This clearly has a ring, but it's also clearly 2 bodies. Because like, here's one body here, here's one body there. Do I still have it? Dang, I closed the tab. But in the Xenosaga episode 3 ending, there was like 2 bodies there. It didn't really look like one had a ring. And that seems like a distinct design choice. Maybe it's just because in the next game they plan on having a ring, and it's like, oh, we didn't put a ring at the end of Xenosaga? Whatever, we want a ring for our planet, because that's gonna look cool. But there's 2 bodies here. Whereas I believe it looked like one body at the end of, Xenoblade 3. Getting tired of hearing the same theme over and over by now? By any chance? Let's see here. If I go to my... Nope, open the burger thing. History. Let's see here. So, with Xenosaga... Yeah, so I mean... I guess this is mainly one body, but like... We saw from the distance there a second body. Would that be like the moon or something? Or is it a full second planet? When we actually look close... Or maybe this is just something to do with light? Or something? Whatever the heck is going on here. Open the Xenosaga one. Let's see here. Dang it, I opened mini player. So yeah, looks like that. Bright sun over blue planet and stuff. The other body probably is just a moon. In Xenosaga, it looks kind of like a moon. So big blue planet, bright sun. There'll be a moon somewhere around it. In Xenosaga Episode 3, this is what it looks like here. Definitely feels a little similar. Dang, I'm trying to not go too much back. I'm trying to be like right there. Yeah, like that. Definitely feels a little similar there. And then the Xenoblade 3 thing that I just had open up. There we have Bright Blue Planet. We don't get to see if there's like another body, like a moon or something. Don't get any shot of a sun or anything. And then like a light is approaching, which could be Cosmos. We now know maybe it could be the man on ship, the White Whale 2, is maybe what it could also be. Maybe it's not necessarily Cosmos, but they did put in that note about Dmitry Yuriev and all that. So, I mean... And Cosmos was in Xenoblade Chronicles too. More so as just like fun gameplay thing rather than like a canonical thing, but that clearly goes to show that they're buddy-buddy enough with Bamco that they can do shit with Xenosaga if they want. With the future of their story. So, whoops. Nope. I clicked on like the screen above this by accident. But there's clearly some similarities across the end of all these games. So, like I've said before, I do genuinely think that this is most likely the end of Xenoblade, and the next game that they put out is probably going to be Xeno something else that starts to tie in a whole bunch of other stuff, and maybe delves into, like, the whole multiverse stuff. Maybe we'll get, like, a Xenoverse, and we'll finally get, like, some answers on the Conduit, and see how there's, like, a Conduit or a Zohar in each different universe, and there's some way that they're all connected, and through some means they're like the main characters of all these things have made it to like the same universe, and they're gonna try to defeat like the ghosts that are coming after them for like all the Conduit shit that's been going on lately across these adventures, Conduit / Zohar shit. So yeah, like I mentioned before, the next playthrough is going to be Xenosaga Episode 1. There is still more stuff that I'm gonna do with this game, but I've been playing this game like I mentioned, basically as my only stream game since it came out, with the only exceptions being Dark Deity 2 for release and Helldivers to play with family. Apart from that, this has literally been the only thing that I've been streaming for the past close to 2 weeks now when it released on March 20th. Yeah, so 12 days ago here. This has been the only thing that I've touched, and I have over 70 hours in this game. I need to chill out a little bit. I can definitely see this game kind of taking a spot in, like, my schedule around here, kind of like Xenoblade 3 had for a while, in the sense that, oh yeah, I do more stuff here and there randomly when I feel like it, or at like LAN events or something like that, or maybe it's the end of a 24-hour charity stream and I just need to play something else to like fill that last little bit of time, and I want to do something I really want to enjoy to relax. I can see this game taking over that role. Like, I might still play on and off outside of that kind of thing, just to showcase like the new Affinity missions and like the Nile Nail stuff and do some things like that. But I'll probably also play this game a decent bit on my own time, like doing the quests that I already did during like my last playthrough that you can still find during my last playthrough. Like, maybe if I get around to it, maybe I'll do like the Rexoscale stuff on my own time, because I did that whole quest line on camera before. You can find it in the last playthrough. It's an elaborate quest line, and you can see me actually playing my guy in that. So I might end up making a decent bit of progress on other stuff that's already been done, and maybe play it from time to time here to still showcase the other new content, the Affinity missions. And then after I'm through with those, then maybe it'll just be one of those things that I do at the end of 24-hour charity streams and do at LAN events and stuff like that, because there's still a lot of content that can be done in Xenoblade Chronicles X, no doubt. So it'll probably be one of those periodic things from here. Or on the YouTube side, it might still keep on looking like it's frequent, because if I do it periodically for the next couple months, this stream is already going to take things up until, like, you know, probably early July at this point, or late June in terms of the daily upload schedule. So if I do it from time to time for the next few months here, that'll still make stuff really regularly into July, but you know what I mean. I'll do stuff on and off here, most likely. But the main thing that I want to showcase is now done. My main obligation is done. Now I can actually commit to, like, some of the other stuff that's going on around here. Some of the things on this little packed thing of games. Maybe I'll play Binding Blade for the first time in a while, Final Fantasy VII for the first time in a while, Assassin's Creed Valhalla 2. Tomorrow, technically, since it's after midnight, is going to be the Switch 2 Direct, where we're going to find out a bunch of stuff about the Switch 2, which will be cool. The day after that, The Last of Us Part 2 is coming out on PC, and the Part 1 on PC was so dang broken, like one of the worst PC ports I've ever seen in my life. I already own it on PS5, but it would be fun to play if it's broken, so I'll let that come out. Maybe I'll give it a day or something like that to see if it's broken, and just look at other people's gameplay, and if it's broken, then I'll do a full playthrough of it, and it'll be like the new thing that I prioritize. Like, I went ham on Definitive Edition because I really want to see the new content, but if this comes out and it's broken, I'm going to want to go ham on that because I want to get through it before it gets patched. Play it in like its most broken state possible. So that might be the new thing that ends up taking over my life, like immediately after this. You know, if it ends up coming out and it's completely stable, then I just won't add it. So yeah, there might be a new thing that ends up becoming super crazy. Before you go, watch this. I can't hover over it and see what it is. Is it, what's it supposed to be? Oh, I've heard about the Pal World dating sim that's coming out. Yeah, I know about that. That being the direction that they're going with some stuff there. So yeah, Switch 2 Direct coming up. This playthrough may be coming up. If it comes out on PC and it's super stable, then I'll just play the PS5 version sometime later whenever I feel like it. So maybe that'll take over this slot and it becomes the new thing that I go super hard on. We'll see what ends up happening there. But for now, Xenoblade Chronicles X, the main stuff is wrapped up. I'll play it on and off from here. I've said all the things I want to say. Do I want to stream until 6 AM just for shits and giggles at this point? Like, I very much could. Let's mute the game there. That theme is really good, but I'm tired of hearing it. Like, I should have just put on like a playlist on shuffle or something like that is what I should have done this whole time. Yeah, this is a theme that I had heard, like, before this point. So, this theme played when Al first appeared with, like, the, Ares Prime there in Oblivia. But we got the full version, I think the one that plays here, as we're, like, making our getaway and stuff. I really quite like the theme. I like the bits where it gets really calm. So, hearing it actually in the cutscene there, it was really quite nice. I've been listening to this theme a lot lately to the point that, like, I'm starting to get a little bit tired of it. But that's how you tell that I really, really like a theme. I was listening to this on repeat for a while the past week here just because I was like, holy shit, that's some really good music. I do really quite like it. Xenoblade Chronicles definitely knows how to get music really dang well. That's another thing that I can mention, what they did with Lao, where it's like, he's not just back and like, hey, I'm back. He's like, nope, I died. This is where I'm staying, and I want to be reunited with my wife and daughter. And I acknowledge that what I did was dumb. And then, like, coming and helping out with, like, the final battle, him being there and speared or some sort of weird multiversal thing. That's another thing to mention, is, like, the whole, they're still alive, but their consciousnesses are not stored in the lifehold. The whole, it's this planet. It's something about this planet. Oh, and maybe that was the plan, is it was going to be something about this planet. But as the epilogue turned out, it was not something about this planet. It is something with, like, the multiverse, and there being, like, a dimension where these consciousnesses are being stored and transmitted, and that's outside of Mira. It's still not entirely clear how things were translated on Mira. Maybe that's something that I'll find out as I do, like, maybe Nilenail's quest or something like that, because that seems pretty tied to lore. It's still not entirely clear what Mira was, like some sort of pocket dimension thingamabob that people could get to. I mean, that wouldn't really be a retcon. The characters would think that it's something about this planet as far as they're aware. Would be the case, so it's not like they had to change something that was already established, just change something that was probably their plans. Just like, just like the Black Knight. Xenoblade Chronicles X Black Knight. Al was probably not their original plan for the Black Knight. Yeah, ads are on. So the concept art of the Black Knight was this badass looking figure here, where this is what was supposed to be approaching Lao in the original game. And it looks like there was an in-game model, like, in the files for the Wii U version. This is what the Black Knight looked like, and this is clearly not Al's armor. So they wanted to take this in a different direction, and this is what the Black Knight's skull was going to be. Clearly, the Hresvelg, with like the sword in the back, like it literally is just the Hresvelg design, plus like these that are different, I guess, compared to what ended up actually going in the game like 10 years. 10 years later. But this is another example where it's like, it wouldn't be a retcon. It's just, they never revealed what the official plans were before. I mean, they revealed that like this was going to be the Black Knight skull and this is what the Black Knight was going to look like. But in terms of what was officially shown in game, we never saw any of that. They can rewrite it however they want. And the way that they wrote it was, this is now Al. But it would be interesting if they revealed in like some sort of future interview, now that X Definitive Edition is out, and it shouldn't be a bad thing to reveal. Just out of curiosity, what their original plan was. Like, who was this guy gonna be? Because it clearly wouldn't be Elma's, like, partner there if this was his skull. Or maybe this is a skull that he got later and he still piloted, like, the Ares or something like that in the beginning. Like, maybe that was the plan. Who knows? But now the Black Knight has become Al, Elma's old partner and the pilot of the Ares from the beginning of the game. This has become just a random skull that Granada is developing on the side and you can use in game. And we'll never see the original plans of the Black Knight. But I am definitely curious what they wanted to do. No more Black Knight. Black Knight doesn't exist anymore. Who knows what they were gonna do with him. But hey, at least he's like sort of someone, just not the someone he would have originally been planned to be. So, at least we have the definitive answer of who the Black Knight is in canon. It is past 6 a.m. This might not have been the best day to be streaming this, considering, you know, I was getting home so late from, like, Taekwondo and then airport. Oh, man, I didn't think it was gonna take this long, and I wanted to get it done before, like, Switch Direct and Last of Us Part 2 in case I want to start committing to that. I don't want to have that I'm committing to while I'm still trying to commit and finish off the epilogue and find out what's going on here, you know, and that I had to do it tonight because I couldn't do it tomorrow night because then I wouldn't be able to be up at a decent hour for the Switch 2 Direct. Or I could and then just be, like, half asleep like I am right now. I think I've said all the things I wanted to say. So, overall, that, I really like that. Again, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition did not feel like it was without flaw. There's definitely some serious performance issues. I don't know why they got rid of some customization options. The map isn't quite as smooth to use. The weird input delay that is just a stupid pain in the ass. So, there are some things that I don't like about it as a remaster. But for the most part, it does a lot of really, really cool stuff. It feels like it actually finishes off the story. I really like how it both finished off the story and set up for the next thing, as opposed to Xenoblade 1 Future Connected, which felt like it just set up for the next thing. You could argue it helped wrap up Melia's story a little bit, and I kind of like the stuff that was done with Melia's story there, but it felt like it mostly existed as setup, whereas this felt like it mostly existed as wrap-up of the Xenoblade X story, while also, like, a smidge of setup, is what it felt like. So I like having a conclusion to X. I can rest super well tonight and all future nights after waiting for that for 10 years. The new content actually, like, kind of kicked ass. It wasn't, like, blowing my socks off amazing story or anything like that, but it felt right, is probably the best way to put it. Again, like, I don't think the Great One is as good of, like, an antagonist as something like, you know, Zanza or Malos or anything like that. But it was extremely fitting. It didn't feel out of nowhere. It felt like the kind of natural progression to go from here. And, I don't remember what I was going to say for my next thought there. It still feels a little bit out of nowhere of, like, Mira's disappearing now, but I guess to help kind of wrap up X for good and be like, yep, we're moving on to the next thing now. We are moving on to the next thing now, that is this. That is kind of what you have to do, I guess, there. I'm not at all dissatisfied with that ending and the way that went. I'm definitely very intrigued to see what they are going to do next. Whether it's like Xenoblade, Xenoverse, or whatever they end up doing. I definitely enjoyed that. That was fun. No masterpiece of storytelling with the final thing, but it was right. Not blow my socks off amazing, but it was right. It was fine. yeah. I think I liked it better than, I liked it better than Future Redeemed. I liked it better than Future Connected. I think I like Torn of the Golden Country more than this story-wise. Torn of the Golden Country is shit gameplay-wise. The whole go around, do like 90% of the side quests in the world before he let you progress the story. Like, what kind of garbage is that? But story-wise, I really quite like Torn of the Golden Country. That one might be my favorite in terms of story. Then maybe this one's second, honestly. And that seems like it's putting it on a high pedestal for, you know, just a basic epilogue, you know, lead into the next thing stuff. But I feel like the more I think about Future Redeemed, the more it feels like it didn't really help to move things forward. It was more of just like hints of new stuff at the end, fan service of familiar characters, and Alpha is just evil now for the sake of being evil because he has motivations that you would never understand. Like, I hear that and I just think that that's lazy writing. And Future Connected was just like, hey, here's the Fog Beast out of nowhere to serve as like a teaser trailer for for Future Redeemed. And 3 in general, but especially Future Redeemed. So, you know, I really like the gameplay changes in Future Redeemed and stuff. And it was doing some interesting things with the story, like the comparisons between Matthew and Niall. That I really liked. And Niall's motivation and stuff. It's just like the overall antagonist and Alpha there. Or other themes that were really good. Like the whole, we'll pass it on to the next person. Maybe it'll even be you with N. That's really symbolic. It's like, yeah, that's pretty good. I quite like that. I think Alpha just pisses me off with just out of nowhere. Yeah, he decided to be evil for reasons you could never understand. To do this one hyper-specific thing of take all the people that were born in this world and take them to a new world. Like, why? Why is that his goal? Like, what? I don't... It just felt like one of those things that happened because it was what needed to happen for the rest of the story. I feel like stories should feel like they're a natural consequence of the character's actions in the world around them. And that determines what ends up going on, rather than we decide what's going on, and that's going to determine the everything else part. I'm not phrasing this right. I phrased my exact thoughts on that in my Xenoblade 3 video essay, and I forget what words I used. I'm sleep deprived at past 6 in the morning. Watch my Xenoblade 3 video essay if you want me to describe that in more detail and, like, actually express my idea right. I can't think of it right now because I'm tired as hell. So, yeah, I like this. Twas interesting. It makes me very curious about what's next, but without being like pissed off about the end, like X Original or Future Connected, where it's just like, ugh, I just gotta wait for the next thing to actually find out what the hell about anything. This felt conclusive, moved into the next thing. I've said this enough already. I'm going the hell to sleep. This is enough. Like, I keep on thinking that I'm gonna have like more thoughts to add in, and then I think I just keep on repeating it in like different words. So I'm going to pass the hell out, because this is enough. Be back at some point on and off, but for now, this is good enough. This is enough Xenoblade Chronicles X commitment. I'm gonna take a break from this game for a little while, I think. I think putting in like 72 hours or whatever I did in 12 days is enough. So until next time, take care and see ya.